How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar. Welcome to Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today I am joined by, how is he even doing that?
He's hacked the system.
What? Did you just break the internet and just figure out how to do all these things?
Yeah, I hacked everything.
All right. Well,
hey, Minties. What? This guy doesn't collect books. He's a manga guy. What the hell?
Jess, I've got since you're the one wanting to talk, I do have your quote beneath my name, Ghost of Christmas Annoyance.
Dude, just figured out how to work the internet. Like, he made balloons. I've never done that. What the heck?
Yes, everybody's happy. I'm here.
I have no idea.
I can't do it yet. Sorry, guys.
No idea how he's doing that. Yeah. So, Jess, who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself, balloon making man.
I'm the adorable Omnidog from Omnidog's Vault on the YouTuber thing and Omnidogs_Vault on Instagram. And I also have a Discord where we don't charge people to be in there. We just have fun and we're loving people.
Shots fired already.
This is the show where we're nice to each other, Jess. Do you remember this one? It's different than the other show.
Okay, that's right. Thanks for reminding me.
I've decided to be nicer this next year. To his right is the Norwegian assassin, Lars. Who are you?
Yes, Lars Pearson, publisher and editor-in-chief of Man Norwegian Press, formerly of Wizard Magazine, and such is my dedication to be here today. You know, yeah, it's true. I am here fresh off my first colonoscopy.
No one wants to hear that.
Well, hold on. No, but I'm saying this is my dedication level because I was unconscious 4 hours ago, okay?
That's true.
I was
And
drugged.
we could have had a completely different camera feed from Lars.
It's true. It's true.
Oh.
I was
Yoink.
drugged. I was dehydrated. I was half starved. But here I am. And I asked a friend of mine, I'm like, should I really go on near mint condition in my compromised state? And she said, well, no, it's great because if you say something incredibly stupid, it'll just be blamed on the colonoscopy. And I'm like, well, that's very freeing. I mean, I think all of us should have a colonoscopy before every preview. Because it's so liberating. It's so
Can
liberating.
I just have the propofol and not the whole colonoscopy?
You never know what you're going to hear on this channel whenever I have a different group of people on.
No,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, Lars is the reason to blame if your comic books were going up and down in price. He was the editor at Wizard Magazine.
Yes.
He's the reason why a lot of lines got canceled. When Lars said something was bad, that comic, like Nomad, they canceled Nomad because Lars gave it a bad review.
That was before I got there. Also, Clive Hawbacker, was that his? No, Clive. The artist was an Iowan. I would never do that to a fellow Iowan.
A fellow Iowan. I had no idea he was from Iowa.
He was from
And below me is the Omnibus collector, the one original and only at the time that was collecting Omnis. Who are you?
I am the Omnibus collector.
Hey, Riley.
Why does Jess get all the magic power? Like, that was just some Green Lantern looking stuff going
Yeah,
on.
I feel like he's in a very low budget version of Wonka or something.
I'm Riley. I'm the Omnibus collector. I on the internet as the Omnibus collector, YouTube, TikTok. Don't really go on Instagram much, but I'm there. And Twitch, same. I don't really go on there much, but I am there. And on Twitter, if you'd like to follow me at Omni Collector. My YouTube is definitely all manga right now. Because that's what the people want to hear about, but I do talk about comics elsewhere whenever I'm feeling like it.
Love it. Yes. And I would say you're probably, out of the five of us, you're probably the second most knowledgeable guy when it comes to manga. First is probably Jess.
Yeah.
He was trying to coach me on how to read a manga.
Yeah.
He's like, you take your phone and you flip it, right? So the book is read like normal people read it, and he calls it normal people, not Westerners, by the way.
I had something with those 100 volumes of One Piece. I had to send them to you.
He taught me everything I know. Honestly, Jess taught me everything I know about manga. That's why he's always winning, except this last time at the Real Manga Fake Manga.
And
Yay, Riley! Yay!
To his right is none other than Crisis.
Hello, everybody. I am Crisis with a K. Just about everywhere you can find somebody named Crisis on the internet, but primarily at Crushing, that's with a C, crushingcrisis.com, where I have guides to collecting the vast majority of the Marvel Universe and some of DC and Indie too. Otherwise, I've really been trying my best to stay off the internet in 2023, but I always am happy to be released for my enrichment hour with the comic friends here on Near Mint Condition. So I'm here and I've been reading nonstop. I'm lucky I have any vision today after the amount of comics I've read this week. I am ready to talk solicits.
That's right. And I am as well. So a big thank you to David Gabriel and all the folks at Marvel for sending us this advanced solicits. This will be available everywhere about halfway through the month. So sometime in January, middle of January, it's when this stuff will be available, as well as the comics. There is a couple of mistakes that I caught here. And I'm sure that will be corrected when it actually goes to, different web outlets. I don't even know. Is wizard.com still a thing, Lars?
Wizard? Oh, I don't think so.
You should make that.
I think it's still owned by a holding company.
When am I getting a rainbow mic? Well, I can't. I don't know if I can or not, because I kind of like just me being the center of attention and not my microphone. And I feel like the mic would pull the attention away from me. So, but that is a wonderful suggestion. Thank you for that.
Where is your microphone? Is it hanging?
It's hanging. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But you should see the setup. It's ridiculous. I have don't take this out of context, 3 things just pointed at my face at all times, like 3 different mics that are just dongling down.
You're using dong.
Nobody was taking it out of context until you said dongling.
Well, I knew it's the internet. It's not my first.
You are
rodeo on the
dongler.
internet,
Yeah.
guys.
James,
It's time for
please
my
put
favorite
that.
live stream that constantly has me asking the question: will this finally be the death of my wallet? Maybe.
Yes.
And look, there's some praise from Crisis's website. It's great for those looking for detailed reading orders. It does not miss a beat. I'm serious. You want everything. If you want to know where Hulk pants disappeared to and what issue of Avengers they end up in, that is definitely Crisis.
I will go and work on that Hulk's pants reading order right now. Fresh off the street.
Time. Thank you for the super chat. This is totally getting clipped, probably. Yeah.
Be sure to include X-Men Annual 7. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's get this party started. We got a lot of books to talk about, and let me go ahead and share this. Oddfell is on her way back home. She was on a trip, and I believe the last I heard of Curtis, he was with family somewhere in America, and apparently America doesn't have.
Curtis is in Iowa with me. Well, not
he's
literally.
with you.
Not
in the
literally with
introvert
me.
room?
Why can't you let him out?
We are. I know, we are in the same state. Yeah.
Okay. And now, is that big enough for everybody? All right. Mystic Omnibus. Very excited. This is one of the first 4 cross-gen titles, and now it's coming all in one omnibus. And it's collecting the first 43 or all 43 issues of Mystic, and then the Cross-Gen Chronicles number 5 and material from Cross-Gen Chronicles 1. 1,152 pages, $125. You have both covers here. You have the Brandon Sanderson cover and then the Aaron Lopresti cover. Has anybody else read this?
Brandon Peterson?
Peterson.
Mm-hmm. Brandon Peterson. What did I say? Sanderson?
Yeah.
Brando Sando?
An artist as well. Wow.
He's multi-talented.
Yeah.
No, Brandon Peterson. So no one else has read this stuff?
No, it's good.
No, cross-gen's a big blind spot for me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I get I avidly read Ruse by Mark Waid, like a lot of people, but
Yeah, that was a good one. I think that was Mystic and the Sigil. There were 4 original titles that kind of were all about the Sigil, but they can be read on their own. That's what makes it so fun. And oh yeah, baby, my number 1 most wanted Omni, Ghost Rider Danny Ketch, Omnibus Volume 1. They've changed the title. When I announced it, it was just Ghost Rider Danny Ketch Omnibus. Now they've added a Volume 1 to that. So excited for this one. Collecting the first 24 issues, 6 and 7, Mark Spector Moon Knight 25, Sorcerer Supreme 28, Punisher War Journal 29 and 30, and then the Hearts of Darkness and the Holiday Special in the Marvel Comics Presents issues that feature Ghost Rider. And one of the comments, or actually one of the most comments that I see, that people are excited for this, but they're asking why no X-Men, why no Jim Lee? Well, you need something for a volume 2, right? You need a cover for volume 2. So I would say,
and that's a few issues later than this cuts off.
Yeah, it's 26 and 27.
Yeah.
So all the time I spent searching for that Danny Ketch collected edition 1 is that, you're welcome, by the way.
You did this, Justin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This negates that, right?
I believe in you.
I need to actually address this really quick, because I thought, the same thing. I'm like, hopefully one day, whenever we get this, we'll get a glow-in-the-dark cover.
I do remember that.
However, gimmicky covers are more expensive. If you look at the DC Metals Omnibus, it's $150 omnibus for 700 and something pages, right? A lot of the reason for that is because of that gimmicky cover they used on the DC Metals Omnibus. So if we were to have a glow-in-the-dark cover, as cool as that might be, you would probably be looking at about $175 for this book. Maybe 150. I think probably with the page count, 175.
So does this negate both the volumes of Danny Ketch that I have?
This is more than both of your volumes.
Okay.
Wow. Just
Wow.
Get a paper shredder.
Gonna.
Throw it in there. Get rid of it. You don't need it anymore. It's all here. 1,216 pages, $125. My donation for the Help Omar get as many copies as Danny Ketch as he wants. I want to glow in the dark cover too, man. But thank you. But you have the direct market cover here, also by Tex, which I love that cover. I think that's the one that I actually, that's when I started getting it monthly.
Just a few comments from me here. If you, like Jess, have those Danny Ketch classic volumes, remember when all we could have was classic trade paperbacks? Danny Ketch Classic Volume 1 and 2 covers through issue 20. So they don't quite cover all this, and they did not have any of the Marvel Comics Presents stuff integrated, which is the new custom of doing this. And also, I'll just say, if you don't know this material, not only is it fun, not only is it like exactly the blend of kind of 90s extreme and horror that you want from Ghost Rider, but the art is just, if there's a Marvel title from the first half of the 90s, not drawn by Jim Lee, that needs to be oversized art, it is this book. And I've been saying that for a long time. Omar can confirm. And it's finally here, and it's going to look beautiful.
I've never heard Peter say that.
Oh.
Actually, he's just taken exactly what I've said and made it prettier and now quoting himself. But that's okay. I'm used to people taking things from me all the time.
Hotel's not here, so I'm the only hope we have of making things prettier on this.
Ouch! Ouch! Lars is here.
What?
No, it's true.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the nice show. I forgot it was the nice show.
No, it's true, Peter. You do have this angelic glow about you. I mean, we can read by your halo. Yeah,
I do represent a significant amount of people in the market, so don't be harshing on me.
As we've heard a lot of this past month on Twitter.
What?
Twitter.
Okay, so there are a couple of other questions. Make the glow in the dark cover, the DM variant. You have to opt in and pay more. Oh yeah, that will go over well. Somebody was asking. I think they were being funny. I think they're funny. Yeah. Will X Factor 1 through 8 and Annual 1 be in that Ghost Rider? No, but X Factor does make an appearance in Ghost Rider number 9. I think. Thank you for the super chat, Ryan. Sorry for the off-topic chat, but with Lars here, can you guys do a Doctor Who collected editions reading order? Lars, do you have any of those comics from Titan and Panini?
I mean, quite a few. I'm not a completist about most things, but yeah, I have quite a few.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll talk to Lars and
yeah, we can give it a shot.
Work something out.
Yeah.
Ben Reilly Omnibus Volume 1 went fast.
Really?
I think that might have something to do with the mega print and, of course, pre-orders. Is it out of print already, both covers, Richard? And somebody was saying, preach. Ironically, it's Mr. Tex.
Right.
All right. Excalibur Volume 3 for the people worried that it was going out of print.
I
that
sent a panicked message in our group chat.
Oh,
when it
you
got
did. I remember
canceled.
that. And I was like, oh, that's so cute.
Yes, but you have so many panicked, ones. You just get used to that for a while. It's like
Well,
building.
My
a
name is
baton-
Crisis. It's
Yeah.
on brand.
Yeah. No, it's
I
like
think-
building a baton to iocane powder.
I think this is the one with the mistake. Because it says it's 848 pages, and no, it's not. It's a lot more than that.
It's huge.
And it's not going to be $100. I think this is something else right there. But it is collecting Excalibur 68 through 103, annuals 1 and 2, the X-Men Unlimited issue number 4 right now, with so many people in the last couple of weeks have been quoting as the true origin of Nightcrawler, X-Factor 106, X-Force 38, X-Man 12, Pride and Wisdom 1 through 3, and then material for Marvel Comics Presents 174 and the Marvel Holiday Special 1996. So it's not canceled. Well, I'm sorry. It was canceled, but it's being resolicited. It's not canceled like we're taking it off the books. You're never going to be able to get this. So the stuff in here is but mostly by Warren Ellis and then Scott Lobdell filling in for Alan Davis until he was like,
there's that little filler period right before Phalanx Covenant where they're trying to like maneuver it to just be a really small team of the core X people and kind of like jettison Captain Britain briefly and then bring him back as Britannic. It's a little bit longer than you think because Ellis doesn't come in until after they come back from the Age of Apocalypse break. So there's like a solid 12 issues in this, I think. Yeah. That's
it definitely felt like Scott Lobdell was like, I don't know what to do with these people. I'm just gonna,
it's a little awkward.
We're
There's
gonna get rid of Micro
Max.
Who's Kaloon? Like, what is this guy? Is he a mutant? Goodbye. So it does become like the Nightcrawler and Megan and Shadowcat show for a while. But then eventually, during Elsa's run is when we get like Rain joins the team. Then they have the whole discovery of Douglock. But yes, this is the actual page count right here. 1,304 pages, $150. We're up to volume 3 of Excalibur and New Mutants, but we still can't get a volume 2 for Miss Marvel. I think that
shots fired.
That might actually get resolicited and expanded one day. You did not miss it. You did not miss any announcements of Amazing Spidey 16. Been rightly sold out at IST in special order, but available at CGN. Thank you for that, DV. And I assume he's missing. He's talking about G. Willow Wilson's omnibus that came out.
Yeah,
it is odd that there's not a second one, considering there was a TV show. But
yeah, I'm surprised they didn't just bring it back out and all in one. Because I mean that is a small omnibus. Yeah. And then Avengers by Busiek and Perez, Omnibus Volume 2. This is the new printing, and this is the one that's going to have 3 covers this time around. 2 of them by the legendary George Perez, and then 1 of them by Alan Davis. And this collects the rest of the Kurt Busiek run, 24 to 56. What's that?
The also legendary Alan Davis, I think, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, he's legendary, but he's still with us, right? George is gone.
I'm sorry. You only get to be legendary if you're dead.
I'm not. Well, don't put words in my mouth, Lars. This is why Wizard got canceled because they were.
Yes.
Avengers 2000 and 2001 annual, the Thunderbolts crossover, the Maximum Security miniseries, and Dangerous Planet, and then the Avengers Ultron Imperative. I absolutely love this run. Oh, it's so good. This as my favorite Kang story too. The Kang Dynasty, I think. Some people probably thought that it went on too long, but I thought it was just good. Did you guys read this run?
I've read that portion, the Kang stuff. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Lars, of Legendary Wizard magazine?
They are indeed legendary. It's good stuff. I mean, Kurt Busiek, George Perez, you can rarely go wrong. Yeah, Alan did most of the Kang issues, didn't he?
Yeah. By now, George had kind of taken a step back, and Alan ended up like finishing the run with who was it? Kieran Dwyer did a lot of those issues too.
Yeah, I mean, all the names in there, that's solid stuff. Absolutely.
And the thing I'll say for people who don't know it, and at this point it's a 20-year-old run, so you're thinking, oh, this is old Avengers. Do I want to read it? It's one of those Avengers runs where anybody can be an Avenger at any time. Like if a past Avenger drops in, they're in the team for a couple of issues. If they save somebody who's kind of a superhero, they join up for a couple of issues, even if they don't officially get an Avengers card. So if you like an Avengers run that's less about like super focus on a specific group and more about a broad focus on just anybody can be an Avenger, especially this back half of the Busiek and Perez run is very much that, and it's a fun read for that reason, because there's just so many people coming and going from the team, and if you like Marvel and if you like Avengers, it's all there for you.
It definitely has a classic feel to it too. I think that's why a lot of people go back to this run that refer it to a classic Avengers story.
Yeah.
What's left in Avengers to get us to Bendis? Oh, we can map my Avengers really quick. Not only do you need Jeff Johns, and yes, all of the pages this time, even the one with Ant-Man and Wasp.
Oh,
yeah, Peter, I said what I said. But also Chuck Austin's run.
Boy, you really had to choke and spit that out, huh?
Well, it's got good artwork though. It's got what's his name, Olivier Coipel. Like his art is all over that Chuck Austin run.
Yeah, I couldn't quite hear you, Omar. There was too much vomit in your mouth.
But the Scott Collins artwork, and I would include the Invaders miniseries too, or was it a miniseries or a one shot? I can't remember. But it was like a spin-off of the Avengers where Lionheart ended up going. But that would take you directly to the New Avengers by Bendis, or the Avengers Disassembled storyline. Am I missing anything, Peter?
Not specifically.
You're the go-to Chuck Austin guy on the internet. What else is
I do think Chuck Austin sometimes gets a bum rap. I think our memories are being slightly more unkind to him than he deserves at points. I will say that. But yeah, this, I mean, we're talking about issues 57 through 84, and then Avengers Disassembled starts. And yeah, Omar's broadly correct. I have a whole guide to this if you want to go on my website and take a look. There's also Avengers Thunderbolts 1 through 6. Fits into that area, so I would think maybe that goes in as well. It's right before the beginning of the Chuck Austin run in terms of continuity.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right, because immediately after that is when they were like, "Hey, let's just relaunch Thunderbolts." Am I rooting for him? I mean, sure. If he was in a race, I'd root for him. I will say I'd be happy to buy a X-Men Omnibus, Chuck Austin Omnibus. I can hate on the guy all I want to, but I'd be all over that Kia Asamiya artwork and. Well, Philip Tan's art. Oh my God, the Draco. Iron Man Omnibus Volume 2 is getting a new printing, collecting Iron Man 1 through 25, and the Tales of Suspense 84 through 99 material that features Iron Man, of course, and Iron Man and the Submariner #1. And actually, this would be good to fit in there too. The Quicksilver series. I'd be all over that. Like, put it in that omnibus. So that is getting a reprint, 2 covers this time around, Salvador La Roca and then the Gene Colan cover, and then Iron Man Omnibus Volume 3. I love this cover. The standard edition cover is so good. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with the direct market cover. This one's just so iconic. So yeah, this is one that I know made a lot of people happy because people kind of gave up on the idea that Iron Man was going to be continued in omnibus format or the Silver Age stuff. So I'm glad to see this here. 26 through 67, and then Daredevil 73. 968 pages, $125. Which was Iron Man 2. 840 pages, $100. Omar, do you know which Avengers by Busiek Volume 2 will have the map? Oh, that I don't know. I can ask when. I don't think the file. I think the files may have been sent to the printer already. And for people asking about adding Starjammers to the Excalibur 3, I did email David that this morning again, kind of reminding him. And here is Extreme X-Men. This is the other email I sent out about adding the miniseries to this one. Because this collects the Mechanics miniseries, the Extreme X-Men 25 through 46, X-Women #1, and X-Men Unlimited 39. 816 pages, $100. But I hope they add the new miniseries in there. But it is penciled by Juan Bobillo, Igor Cordy, Milo Manara, because he did the X-Women, and then Paul Smith. Peter Riley, when someone asks you, how good is Extreme X-Men? how do you all answer? Because people have asked me, and I'm like, I know what it is, and I'm telling you what I think, but it's not for everybody. How do you two answer this question?
I would say Claremont has 3 chunks of return to writing X-Men, basically. And this is probably the one where it feels the most Claremont-y. He's got all of the old toys. He's doing the kinds of things that he wanted to do before. When he came back for Revolution, the whole point was to make it feel unlike him. And when he comes back later in Uncanny for New Age, he actually plays with toys he hasn't really played before with as much. So to me, this is really the Claremont epilogue run or the Claremont Redux run. And it's funny because it has gotten a bad rep over the years. I think there's just as many weird, awkward things about actual Claremont 16 years on Uncanny as there are in this run. It's just that this is newer and it's more decompressed. And so I think it sticks out for people a little bit more. In the original Claremont run, if there was a weird, totally awkward, cringy moment, it lasted for an issue and then it kept moving. Here, you kind of get stuck in an arc. But that's what I would say about it.
I don't have anything to say because I still haven't read this run, but I've read the next Extreme X-Men run, so the one by Pack that has nothing to do with this.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Like the almost felt like an Exiles type of book.
Yeah, that one, that's the one that I really would like to see oversized because that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, I like that one too. I'll be honest, I like
great. Dazzler was the star. Can't go wrong.
Woo. I honestly had forgotten about it until I was doing like my X-Men reading order. I'm like, what is this? Oh yes, that's right. It was a short-lived series. It was great. What is
I'm going Dazzler
what
now?
What the heck is going on, dude? Where,
It's for Dazzler.
Who has let you like just tamper with the internet? Thank you so much, Bruce, for the super chat. I know it's a good time to bring up Chuck. Now is a good time to bring up Chuck Austin. He used to write and draw very adult-only comics before Marvel hired him. Thank you for that. And he did draw that War Machine miniseries. I really the one that was in black and white. I think it was a Max series.
Yeah.
And then of course he wrote Riley. What was the manga? Boys of Summer, Girls of Summer is like a baseball manga that he did for Tokyo Pop.
Did he?
Oh yeah. Because people were like, "What's Chuck Austin doing now?" And I was like, "He's writing manga."
Well, he was also a producer on Steven Universe on many of its early seasons, as well as the Netflix reboot of She-Ra and the Princess of Power. People love to talk their crap on him as a comic book person, but not only is he like a pretty notable production person in animation, but he produces really good, really inclusive, really funny animation. So I think that has caused me to look at his X-Men stuff with a new eye.
That'll be interesting to go back and reread that. Omar likes it when we get God Loves Mad Kills too.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Boys of Summer baseball series at Tokyo Pop, 3 volumes, parental advisory, girls in their undies and bikinis on the cover for some reason.
Yes, Boys of Summer. That's what it is. Yeah, I remember that was a big deal for Tokyo Pop. Like they were promoting that like at all the shows. Like, hey, we've got Chuck Austin. Well, they labeled him as like the X-Men Avengers writer, so it was a huge deal. Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 4 for all you wonderful people that have been wanting this one. Collecting Ultimate Spider-Man 112, 130 to 133, Annual 3, Ultimatum Spider-Man Requiem 1 and 2, and Ultimate Spider-Man when it was relaunched in 2009, 1 through 15. I think, Riley, you were probably the right age for this one, right? Like, this was this like how you got into Spider-Man? Or
I mean, yes, it was coming. I think that run specifically, the renumbering was being released at the time when I was starting to collect single issues, but I was not focused on this at all. I was only focused on Amazing.
Jess, you did a read-through recently, right?
4 years ago? Yeah.
4 years ago.
That's recently for me. Yeah, that's fair.
How
and then the pandemic happened. I don't think that's coincidence.
I loved this run. And since it was 4 years ago, I'm probably due to reread it, but excuse me. This obviously wasn't my introduction to Spider-Man, but what a great reboot of it that I am proud to have all in oversized hardcover. I will not give those up, although I will recommend this book to everybody out there, along with the first three. This is great stuff.
Okay. And I
And
know
it has-
how Peter feels about this.
It has the fabulous Mark Bagley art in it.
Well, this one doesn't. This one has Stuart Eminem. Like, I
Oh,
think
his
Bagley
name was
does
on
come.
there.
Yeah, well, Bagley comes back for like a couple of issues, but it's mainly Stuart Eminem and then Takeshi Miyazawa that draws this, and then Sarah Pichelli.
Oh, I was just trying to bait Peter, and it landed with a thud.
Oh, that's right. He's also a big Mark Bagley fan. Omar, do we know the contents of Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 5 already, or is it a secret? I have not been told the contents of that. I just know that it's coming. That's all I know. But I don't know when either, right? It's coming could be like 2 years from now, 3 years from now. I don't know. Hope I didn't miss anything interesting. All the female-led superheroes we've already talked about, Bar. Sorry. The Masterworks has hit the Uncanny X-Men, so that will be the next Masterworks coming out in September 2024. Collecting X-Men 94 through 100 and Giant Size X-Men number 1, 256 pages, $75. Peter, you're a Masterworks guy, right?
I am. I have that whole line on the shelf behind me. That's actually one of the slimmest Masterworks volumes, I think, of the entire line. It's really quite tiny. This is the probably 2004 version, or maybe the 13 reprint, but it is slim, even for a Masterwork.
256 pages.
Yeah, 256 pages is not much bigger than a standard trade paperback, and this is the 2003 first printing. Yeah, pretty small.
It was later they discovered they could charge $100 and therefore justify more pages.
Right, like if you're looking at that $75 and being like, "Oh wow, aren't the X-Men ones 100 now? That's a steal." No, because this is like a third as long as some of these big honkers that we've been getting recently in the new part of the Uncanny line. And this is, I mean, I could do a whole show just I know these issues front and back and every dialogue balloon, but yeah, this is where it starts.
What's the issue on the issue with Claremont and Cockrum? The Christmas issue.
The Christmas issue where they get kidnapped by the Sentinels from the fancy restaurant at the top of that building in New York. What is it called? Issue 98, which I believe. And then Jean gets kidnapped by Trask and has that awesome monologue about how he's just a Nazi by another name. One of my favorite X-Men panels of all time.
Yeah. Do you know how many pages that one has, Peter? Just to compare, because I know they add
pages through my paces.
Yeah.
It has way less than 256. Newsflash. Here is page 167, and then the end paper. So the new one will be longer. Curious.
Okay. I do enjoy how Dr. Doom is just quietly ice skating in the background. In the ice skating page.
Did Alex Ross draw that into when he repainted that for?
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Also getting the Masterworks is Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, collecting issues 20 through 30, and then annual number 2. So this one is, I don't know who has this one out there, but this one's 288 pages, $75.
I don't know if I can get Dr. Doom ice skating close enough to the camera. There he is.
Oh, he's there. He's there. Nice. Even villains like to have a good time.
That's true.
Hulk Grand Design coming out in trade paperback format. And I like this book. This is by Jim Rugg. Did you all get to read this?
No.
It's done in the same style that like Ed Pisker's X-Men Grand Design. It's like a super condensed version of the Hulk origin and early stories. Ooh. Yes, please. Could you go get the latest printing of your Marvel Masterworks? I'm curious how many pages they added to Spidey 3. So no new Masterworks, but I do have a list. I just have to wait for the covers. Fantastic Four. Oops, I lied. Fantastic Four, Volume 26. But I think I've already announced this one, didn't I? A&W fan. Collecting issues 278 to 285. Annual number 19. Avengers annual 14. And then Marvel graphic novel number 18. So they're putting the Sensational She-Hulk story in here and material from Secret Wars 2 number 2. So, yes. But I'm pretty sure I announced this one. and I have the list of the ones that are from September to January, but like I said, I have to wait for their approval, and also have to wait for covers. Oh,
This puts us
this one is new. This one is
volume.
new. Okay, thank you for that.
Oh,
What's that?
wow.
One.
I was going to say, this is one volume away from the end of Burn
That's what I thought
in
too.
Marvel Masterworks, which
Yeah.
is just
Oh, yeah.
so wild.
Shocking. Yeah.
I am a liar. I have not announced this one. There you go, guys. All you wonderful people that have been waiting for the Marvel Masterworks announcements. There's your small glimpse as to what's coming. Luke Cage is getting his little gang war crossover. So this is Luke Cage gang war because it's all part of this street level hero stuff. I didn't even have to put the suit on.
So I read the first 2 issues of this last night because that's all that's out. And first of all, Rodney Barnes, who I love, he's the writer of Philadelphia at Image Comics, one of my favorite series.
Okay.
And so I was really hoping for something very political because Luke Cage is the mayor of New York right now in the Marvel Universe. It's not super political, but Barnes is playing with the idea of what if the mayor himself needed to put on a costume and fight crime, because vigilantes and costume heroes, of course, are illegal right now in the Marvel Universe in New York City, was part of what precipitated this gang war. And so it starts out with him just being like, damn, I got to get back into the hero game. And then he kind of assembles his little crew. I wish it could be a little bit more political, but I'm going to stick with it because I just really like Rodney Barnes. I think he's got a good voice for Luke Cage, and there's really some nice moments between him and Danny Rand here. So it's a fun time. I wouldn't say it's as good as Philadelphia, which has my unequivocal endorsement.
Okay, the 89 print of Spidey 3 is 263 pages and the end sheets. So this one's just a little bit more. Nothing crazy or outlandish like the Uncanny X-Men. So I haven't read this one, but anytime you have a Luke Cage book,
I enjoy how
starring Danny. What's that?
I enjoy how we've gotten to the point that normal people cannot be mayor of New York anymore, because if my hazy memory serves, wasn't the Kingpin mayor of New York, and wasn't J. Jonah Jameson mayor of New York, and now Luke Cage is mayor of New York?
Well, I mean, who? Let's be honest though. If you're up at the ballots and your choices are Luke Cage or Lars Pearson, former of legendary Wizard magazine, who are you going to vote for? You wouldn't even vote for yourself, Lars.
I totally get it. It's just weird. I mean, next you expect that Moon Knight will be mayor of New York or something.
That would be hilarious.
It would.
Which I did.
3 different mayors.
Right.
Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells, Volume 9, Gang Wars. That's another one of these Gang War storylines. Collecting Gang War First Strike, and then Amazing Spider-Man 39 through 44. Who's caught up with Zeb Wells' run? All right. Peter. He has 44 issues in. What do you think so far? Hit and miss, some good, some bad, or what are we talking about?
Prepared some remarks on this last night because I knew we'd be talking about it. So here's the thing. So many people get down on the Zeb Wells run for 2 reasons in specific. One, they don't like the Mary Jane and Paul stuff, which fine. I don't like some of the relationship stuff they do in X-Men comics. That's fair. But the other thing is that things took too long to reveal. I think this is a run that's actually very much aimed at readers who remember like older runs like Roger Stern, where stuff took some time to roll out. I am not comparing it in quality to Roger Stern necessarily, but there's things that are happening in these gang war issues, and the first few of them are already out. I read up to issue 40 last night that are callbacks to like the first and second arc of Zeb Wells, which was 40 issues ago. Some of us like shared universe comics for that reason. So for me, I am willing to actually hand wave away some like soap opera stuff that I'm not as into for plot stuff that I'm very into. There is a delicious, hilarious reveal in this that like you could see coming by just a few pages, and you're like, oh, is he really going to do it? And then he did it, and it was so satisfying because it calls back to the first half of the run. And that's why I read comics. There's another Marvel book we're going to talk about in here that, even though it gets some hate, it's why I'm here reading comics. It might not be why you're reading comics. So that's fair. But to me, it's fun Spidey. It's Spidey doing stuff on the streets. It's a gang war. There's not a lot of supernatural stuff. It's like Maggie, the Tombstone's there. Tombstone's son almost got married to the Beetle. That's a whole drama that comes to a head again here. It's just fun Spider-Man comic books.
And the reason I ask is because, like, no matter who is writing Spider-Man, ever since I was a kid, I remember when people wanted David Michelinie off the book. They were like, he's had his heyday. All he did was create this ridiculous alien costume. Get him off the book. And then it happened in Dan Slott's run. Oh God, it definitely happened through Howard Mackey and John Burns' run. But that's a different story. And then it happened with Nick Spencer's run. So no matter who's writing Spider-Man at the time, I always see people divided. Like, this is the worst run of Spider-Man. There's nothing worse that can happen. And I mean,
and that's only been true a couple of times in history, like JMS.
I survived one more day, or I survived sins past. Like, it's gonna be okay. We've already hit the bottom of the barrel, guys.
Oof.
I say that, but
Sins past.
But I don't know if I would say anybody should jump in here. Like, if you were waiting to jump in on this, I would maybe jump in on volume 8, and then this is sort of like a whoa, because it's been building for a while.
Nobody hates Spider-Man like Spider-Man.
Well, yeah,
a lot of truth to that, right?
I mean, this sort of second guessing has been going on for decades. There's infamously a Doctor Who story from Tom Baker from the 70s called "The Deadly Assassin," which, when it came out, kind of changed our views about the Time Lords. And at the time, everyone went, "Where has the magic of Doctor Who gone? This has killed Doctor Who," and so on. It's now regarded as one of the best things ever. So you have to be careful to rush to judgment in the moment.
It's a good way of putting it. I think, in 10 years' time or so, and I bring that up because I get to see what people want. Like, whenever I would announce an omnibus, people would be like, "This is ridiculous. Why are we doing this? Why aren't we getting a Dan Slott omnibus?" And all I could think of was like, oh, I thought people just hated Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man. Now there's so many people that want the omnibus. This I've heard good stuff, and I just started reading volume 1, and that is The Incredible Hulk by Philip Kennedy Johnson. This is volume 2, War Devils, collecting 6 through 11 and War is Hell. What have you thought of this run?
First of all, Nick Klein is killing it. This might be the best art I have seen from him. The colorist right now is escaping me. I apologize. But it's just absolutely vividly, viscerally gross Hulk stuff. The transformation sequences are actually reminiscent, speaking of 1990s Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, very reminiscent of the Ghost Rider transformations. But it's Hulk in a very grounded way. And the way that Immortal Hulk started, where he was kind of wandering around, but then Ewing took it to this very elevated place in Immortal Hulk. This really keeps the focus in the place where, like, the first book of Immortal Hulk was, where he is just a man of the land. He's fighting monsters, and there's some very, like, eldritch type creatures who are interested in him. This arc that just started, we're 2 issues in, and it's him against an older Ghost Rider, and it's pretty interesting stuff if you like Hulk to be grounded in not superhero stuff, even though there's a Ghost Rider there, and scary. That is the Hulk that this is. Very, very analogous to the first volume of Immortal Hulk.
I've heard the same thing. Like, people that have been reading it have told me that it feels like a successor to Al Ewing's Hulk, more so than what, of course, Donny Cates and Ryan Ottley were doing with the book, which made Hulk into a giant, ridiculous. Like, that was the most manga I've seen Hulk. Like, he was a giant spaceship. That's awesome. I don't know.
I'll say 2 more super quick things. One is that, to me, it's actually a little bit reminiscent of Bruce Jones' Hulk, a little bit, if that gives you another touch point. And then I also just wanted to credit that colorist, because the color work is amazing, and it is, in fact, Matt Wilson.
Is the first volume of this out already?
Yes, well, comes out this week, right?
Okay.
I followed a channel that did upcoming collected editions. I just feel that stupid. Dude, my brain is mush. I think it comes out this week, or it might have come out last week. I don't even know what the hell day this is.
I love Philip Kennedy Johnson, so I definitely want to pick up volume 1.
What's up, Warren? What are your hot takes so far?
He hates everything.
No, he likes Ultimate Spider-Man and Brian Michael Bendis, and he loves manga, and he loves UK basketball. I added that in. He's from Kentucky. I don't know if he really does.
UK basketball.
This is everybody in this state bleeds blue. Black Panther by Eve Ewing, Reign at Dusk, Volume 2, collecting issues 6 through 10. I read her first trade of Black Panther. I didn't like the first 2 issues, but I liked the issues 3 through 5. Those, I don't know if she's won me over as the Black Panther writer, but it's got some good moments. I don't know, how far did you guys read, or have you read it yet? No from Lars.
I haven't read this one because, of course, they release 87 X-Men comics per month, and that's my first priority.
Well, then you need to start reading 88 comics. Lars.
Clearly,
that is no excuse.
Omar, what would you say to the sentence that this is very political, not in that it's like modern day political, but it's very much about the political structure of life in Wakanda? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can see that. But I also felt the same way about Ta-Nehisi Coates' run. But Ta-Nehisi Coates came in and said, this is the new structure. This is how, policy works here in Wakanda, and did a little bit of retcon. I don't think she's done much retconning in her run. I do find it fascinating. And then there's characters that show up in here that I'm like, oh, okay.
But this feels like a deeper dive into it. It almost feels like Coates kind of laid out the broad sense of like, what could Wakanda be now? Let's redefine it for the modern age. And then this e-viewing run is like, let's just dive really deep into this particular city, into this particular set of political circumstances. I agreed with you. I did not like the first 2 issues. I was on the show talking about that when the first.
That's right. Yeah.
Now I've kind of settled in. Like, it's a vibe. I get it. It's slow. It's very cerebral. It is not a Black Panther punching people comic book. I mean, he does punch people.
No,
but that's not what it is.
And I'll say I miss that, right? Like, I kind of miss the. I think Christopher Priest found that perfect balance of, okay, I mean, we are talking about a king of Wakanda, so you have to talk about the political system and how it works, right? Or when he's being overthrown for the 80th time. But I also thought it was really cool how he mixed like all the street level fight sequences in there.
That I agree with.
Wakanda just out there fighting because he's a superhero. And then of course having that crisis of like, hey, I can't rule Wakanda if I'm hanging out with Captain America and the Avengers all the time fighting in intergalactic wars. And his people reminding him of that, which was, I think every writer brings up just about. I can't remember the previous writer that did this one.
Sorry.
Somebody agreed with me. Good.
Finally hear from Riley.
Who was the previous writer of Black Panther before e-viewing?
His name just popped right out of my head.
Not Philip Kennedy Johnson.
No, I can't remember his name. I will say that something interesting this run does before we talk about Wolverine by Percy is it gives you a street level place for Black Panther to be in Wakanda. So often when people want to do street level Black Panther stories, they like ship him to New York or they put him somewhere in Europe or something. Yes. It's cool that now we have that setting in Wakanda. And I think that will go down as e-viewing's big contribution so far.
That's right. It was 12 years. John Ridley. That's what it was.
Thank you.
12 years left. Thank you so much. Oh, now people are chiming in.
John Ridley.
I was thinking other history of the DC universe, and the name was just.
And he only lasted 12 issues, 15 issues. I thought his run started off interesting, and then it unfortunately just went south. Sabretooth War, Wolverine, Lionel Francis Yu. Actually, let's go up here because I think this is where it is. It's part 1, collecting Wolverine 41 through 45. I assume is this going to cross over into X-Force since he's writing both series, and will it cross over into Ghost Rider? That would be cool.
Well, the Ghost Rider crossover was in the previous volume, or even was like a standalone volume before that. Yeah, this we have no way to comment on this because it starts with issue 41, and Wolverine is only through 40 right now, so we literally do not know what this will consist of.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really hope they do a. Oh god, what's the Silver Age? Jess, Batman, Superman. What is that?
What?
The Silver Age.
Oh,
where half the body is Superman and half the body is
composite Superman.
Yes, they do a composite Wolverine with Sabretooth.
And worth mentioning, Victor Lavelle is co-writing this.
And he has all the powers of the Defender
on his own.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay. Steve Orlando's back writing Iceman with Vincenzo Caruto. Astonishing Iceman 1 through 5 is what's collected in here. And Jesus Saiz is the artist. Alpha Flight
on the covers. Saiz on the covers. Lars, did you read Iceman?
I did. This has been a delightfully strange book in a way. It's not what one might expect from an Iceman book. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's in the fallout of Bobby sort of ish being killed at the Hellfire Club gala, and then he comes back. Spoilers, but he's not dead. And yeah, it's an interesting story.
This is a good question. Will the current Scarlet Witch be released as an OHC? I would hope so.
Yeah.
Omar,
can I
butchering
ask?
names show. wait a minute. I know how to say Jesus Saiz. I got that one down.
It's Steve Orlando. Daredevil Volume 5 OHC. Dead or alive?
I need a super chat from you, Jess, to answer that question. Not be answering questions
I'll
like that.
PayPal you $5.
I told you the last show. I think it's dead. Like they're not going to do the new line of Devil's Reign stuff, or I mean, post Devil's Reign. So what you need to do is keep your 4 volumes, right, and then get Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky Volume 2, and then I'll come to your house and make fun of you because you don't have Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky Volume 1. I mean, like, how can you live with yourself? You got to get Volume 1. You have a Volume 2. Your shelf makes no sense.
That's
why we're
actually
friends.
is how he is when he's at my house.
Oh yeah,
and I'm
totally
not even exaggerating.
Totally make
While
fun of you.
While he's rearranging my Avengers hardcovers or my X-Force Omnis.
Peter, Riley, you all would have a blast at Jess's house. Like, we could make a show just to go to this guy's house and just rearrange his shelves. It's ridiculous. Why do you have 3 different versions of this story? And he was like, I don't know.
That was Nightwing, not X-Men.
We'd probably get into some battle royale disagreeing on how the shelf should be organized.
Oh yeah, of course we
Peter
would.
loves battle royales. Maybe
Peter's
we
like,
could
well,
do-
we have to include this Hulk epic here because Angel's wings show up in this panel of Hulk.
I fully expect that, like, I'll go to Jess's at some point and see stuff that Omar has done and rearrange it in the proper way, and Omar will go back and be like, wait, Jess, what the hell happened here?
I need to get Riley and Peter on my channel to rearrange my X-Men. That would be great.
Jess has been threatening this
That's
for
some
2
good
years
content. All you got to do is just sit there and
2
go
years of
with
prep.
your iced tea and just drink your iced tea as these guys are moving things.
Peter, what's good for you? Like Saturday at 1 p.m. Is that your Monday at 5 p.m. or what? Is that would that work? A Saturday?
Are you guys planning a show in my show? What the heck is happening?
That's the only
Let's talk
time I can
about
talk.
Alpha Flight, shall we? So this
That's the
Alpha
only
Flight
time I
book,
can talk to these guys.
I'm here to stump hard for this book. I read this last night. It was a banger, and we know that I do not like Ed Brisson comics typically, but this is why I give people a
I
chance
didn't know
every
that
time.
until now.
I've been on the show.
Yeah,
Pull up the clips, folks. I do not usually like Ed Brisson, but first of all, Scott Godlewski, who I know from Copperhead at Image, and he was on Action Comics for a little while during the PKJ run, I think. He does no wrong, as far as I'm concerned. And then Ed Brisson, it's so fun. It mines like deep Alpha Flight stuff, not just Burn Alpha Flight, but like mid-original run Alpha Flight stuff, 1997 Alpha Flight stuff. It's really sewn in, and it almost could have been called, and Lars, back me up or argue with me here. I feel it could have been just called X Factor Canada, because it is very reminiscent of original 1986 X Factor, where we like got the originals back together, but it's not for the reason you think it is.
Yeah, I thought this book was okay.
He just gave you a whole 10 minutes.
Lars. Yes,
and Lars comes in with like, no.
After that passionate speech.
Like,
man.
See, like the way that I saw that was like Peter was being like comic buyer's guide like article, and Lars came in with like a wizard article saying no.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. It was fine. It was okay. I think the twists were a bit predictable, I think, is the problem.
Yeah, I'm agreed.
Yeah.
I do want to know. I see Nemesis. I assume this might be North Star. Is that Timberwolf?
No.
No.
Not Timberwolf. Fang.
Is that Wolverine's boy? I think it's Wolverine's boy.
Yeah, Wolverine's boy.
It is.
Who's this?
Which makes it more X Factory, because Aurora, North Star, and
okay, so it is
Doc
Aurora,
and her Fang or whatever we're calling now were half the cast of X Factor a year ago.
Yeah, the last version of X Factor was brutally killed short, and I was really enjoying that book. And then it just suddenly ended with issue 10, so that is a bit of a shame.
Yeah. But yeah, if you like Alpha Flight, any iteration of Alpha Flight, I think you'll probably dig this.
Is this comic woke AF. I won't buy it or read it if it is.
I
It really depends on when you wake up. If you're a morning person, I would say probably. But if
I mean,
you're
I
like
always
a
have to
night
be
owl
woke
like
AF.
I am,
because of how early the show is for me.
yeah, I don't think
Right.
so, man.
Okay.
Uncanny
You're the
Avengers,
report.
The Resistance by Jerry Duggan, collecting Uncanny Avengers 1 through 5, and free Comic Book Day 2023, Avengers X-Men. Jerry Duggan, this is his second go around with the Uncanny Avengers, right? Because he did that run
True.
after Rick Remender left the book. Have you read any of this new stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And
I was giving Lars a chance to jump in. I'm trying not to.
Oh, because
I
you
haven't read
want to
it.
say the exact opposite of what Lars is going to say.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no. Okay. No, I'm sorry. I did read this. Yes. Sorry. It's flooding back to me now. Yes. It's actually really good.
It's a nice self-contained little chunk. It basically tears off right from the Hellfire Gala, but you don't have to have read the Hellfire Gala because the stuff that's in the free comic book day issue kind of contextualizes it. But it's like, hey, let's explore one tidy little containable mystery that rolls out of everything that happened at the Hellfire Gala. I feel like it could have just been an arc of X-Men. Like, it's basically just an X-Men team with Cap and like Black Widow kind of sort of at the margin of the panels. So if you like Dugan's X-Men, this is just basically, it could have been like Dugan's X-Men 25.1 through 25.5. It really doesn't feel like an Uncanny Avengers title other than it's got Cap in it.
Man, they're really putting him in there as the X-Men guy, isn't like?
Yeah. The post Hellfire Club Gala.
I was thinking the same thing, Alex.
Has kind of been all over the map. I mean, all the characters we're dealing with have been everywhere. This one basically addresses where does Captain America stand in all of the X-Men stuff that's going on.
Yes.
And on that level, I think it works really, really well. And the villains were interesting. And no, this is one of the more engaging ones of the post Hellfire Club one.
Somebody's asking where they can see the PDF. This will be available everywhere on about the middle of the month. It's just that Marvel sends us exclusive collected editions. There's a couple of mistakes in here too that will probably be collected in the official one when it comes out. X-Force by Benjamin Percy, Volume 8, collecting issues 43 to 46. So this is one that is continuing in oversized hardcover as well as Wolverine. Those are the only two that I know from this.
Yeah, it's a shame because I've been buying them that way. Yeah.
Well, not even Fall of X is coming out in hardcover. It's coming out in a trade paperback, which I find really, really weird that they're not doing that one at least in a hardcover. The last two Hellfire Galas have been in trade. Yeah, so maybe they're just like, okay, you know, the series. Well, we know it's about to come to an end, right? I think everybody has seen the little thing that they put out on social media about the From the Ashes, right? So who knows what it can mean? Who knows if the X-Men will be playing baseball in their backyard or not?
Yeah. X-Force has actually been a really good title for me. I mean, some of the issues, some of them do tread water, but when it's good, it's really good, and it's a really good cast. It's been explored really well. We'll see how it ends. There's potentially one character in the mix that is potentially ruined forever. But we'll see how that shakes out. We need to wait and see how that shakes out.
And this one pays off to pay off my note from earlier. This one pays off a long-running plot thread from X-Force, and I thought a really clever way. So if you've been reading it this whole time, you're one of these people being like, "Oh, that potential traitor arc just is never paying off. He's just teasing it and teasing it." Every single part of it pays off in this, in I think a totally a way that felt totally fulfilling to me.
Yeah. And I'm not a regular X-Force reader. I mean, I don't have any particular loyalty to it, but I've been loyal to this one. It's kept my attention.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I would say it gets stronger when Wolverine's not in it. I think Percy writes a better X-Force when it's like Sage, Domino, and I mean Logan Wolverine. When it's like Sage, Domino, Deadpool at the middle, it's actually really funny and engaging.
I would agree.
I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
There are no indications what series will be collected from trade to omnibus. Absolutely no. Like, all I know is once the Krakoa era is over, they're going to be looking at omnifying some of it. I don't know if all of it. I don't want to speak out like, people quoting me later. But I know that they're going to be looking at omnifying some of the Krakoa era.
Yeah.
Whether that's every book, I mean, like people like me, I don't know how Peter feels. This is a good question for you and Riley, actually. I don't know how you all feel. Like if they were to do a Krakoa era omnibus collection, I would love for them to do kind of like the mapping, not exactly, of course, but like the anthologies they were doing, just to include everything. Because while I hated Fallen Angels and a few other series, I would be devastated if Fallen Angels was not collected in oversized format.
I think they're gonna have to decide who is this for, because as you say, there were runs in there that simply didn't work. Now I admire their ambition. The quality of the Krakoa era has been stupefyingly high. But if they included everything, that might incline me to buy it less. But if you don't include everything, I'm not sure how you map it. So I don't know.
I think that
I mean, if you do every one, that's going to be insane too. Go ahead.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
I think that it really should be all inclusive, like just because of the nature of the era itself, it really should be. And I know that that's a high order. However, if we come to this 30 years down the line, knock on wood, the things are still happening, but like looking at it in the same way that we now are looking at the X-Men books from the 90s, if they leave out Fallen Angels, you're going to have, Peter 30 years now on being like, well, Fallen Angels should be in there. Despite that, we might not care about it at all.
Well, can we shorten that timeline a little? 30 years is I don't know about 30 years from now.
But yeah,
15? I think I can do 15.
Yeah.
Yes,
as I say, they're going to have to. They got some tough decisions to make here. They're going to decide who it's for. If it was all inclusive, I would probably be less inclined to buy it. But there's probably, not a lot of people like me. So I don't know.
And that is the question. It's like you're going to eventually piss people off too, right? Because if we already have the Hickman Omnibus. And if they say, okay, we're going to make a new, like, we'll just call it the Reign of X era, volumes 1 and 2, and then have the Fall of X or whatever it is, Dawn of X. Then people are going to be like, well, what do I do with my hardcovers, or what do I do with my Hickman Omnibus? What this is ridiculous. So no matter how they approach it, I don't know. I think it'll probably be some lines that get omnibus editions. Unfortunately, some things will be left behind. What about you, Peter? What kind of mindset do you have? Like, do you want everything, or are you okay with just picking and choosing best of?
Well, I think Marvel has a rare case of trying something new here and having data on it, which is that they tried those anthology trades. They never really done that except for when A-Force came out in 2016. They collected basically all of the solo titles of the women in A-Force into an anthology, but that was very kind of low-key, just fling it at the bookstore market and see if it sticks because it had Ms. Marvel in it. These Reign trades were very much marketed to the common X-Men fan. They were in the direct market, and people were really interested in them, and they got devastated when the line cut off. We heard that from you and other sources, the line cut off because sales were drooping, and they couldn't even make it through the rest of that one period of the line. They literally cut off books mid-run where they left off. So I would think that disinclines them from collecting it all together in an omnibus. But, I am an everything person. I wish every book was collected comprehensively in omnibus. I think that a lot of fans, as you've all mentioned, don't want to read some of these things again, but it really comes down to how Marvel wants to sell it. When those X-Men movies hit, and it's not going to be long now, if they want something on the bookshelves that's consistent, that feels like manga, that you can just go and it's numbered 1 to 20, well, they've got it. And they can do it.
Thank you. That's a really good point. While I don't look forward to rereading the Jackpot miniseries when the Brand New Day Omnis hit, because that's atrocious, I would be upset if it wasn't included, right? If it's not all included, just like Children of the Atom and all this other X-Core, all this other stuff that you read through here that I may not want to reread again, but I want Jess to experience it for the first time so he can understand.
Jackpot's going to make a banging Marvel Legend figure. I can't wait.
Sure, whatever.
The other problem, I think, becomes that in addition to books you don't want to necessarily read again, I don't necessarily want to pay for them, because the point at which I can in my head determine that an omnibus contains about $25 or $50 of material that I don't actually want, that disinclines me from buying the omnibus. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for them. I don't know.
And also that shuffled monthly and then I'm sure we have to move on, but that shuffled monthly reading order works better at certain points and for certain titles than others. Like
yeah,
Kieran Gillen very much writes Immortal as every issue is its own issue, and I've actually read them just where they fall in the release order, and it's really satisfying. But there are other titles in this line where you have to read them in an arc at a time, or else they're not going to make sense. And so that anthology format, which was pretty much, it was mostly releasing them as they came out with some light shuffling, that would not work in an omnibus. In an omnibus, some of them would need to be in arcs, and so that would make it even more awkward because there would be like one Immortal issue and then 6 issues of Marauders and then another Immortal issue. And historically, Marvel doesn't want to wade into that level of continuity in their collected editions unless it's an event with a really well-defined reading order, which this whole era does not have.
Well, if they just take the Reign of X books and try to omnibize that order, I think that's going to be excruciating to read in omnibus form.
Yeah.
Clearly, we need to do a Map Your X about this.
Might be time. It's almost time.
Our fate is in your hands.
That's a headache already in here.
Yeah.
Like, and who am I kidding? They'll probably do it both ways. I'll announce something, and then 2 months later, it'll be something else, and then people will be like, "What do I do?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
So look at how they're playing the Claremont Omnis. Yeah, they very well might.
Wait, don't go past this cover too quickly. I'm going to buy this.
We have to talk about this book.
Cover.
Oh, this is Fantastic Four by Ryan North.
So awesome.
Oh yeah, he's still doing all the covers. Alex Ross is doing every one of the covers on this run. Iban Coelho is the artist who I've fallen in love with his artwork over the years. Iban Fiorelli, Francesco Mortarino, and Carlos Gomez. I got that one. Collecting Fantastic Four 12 through 18. I read the first one. I really like the first book. Haven't gotten to read the second one yet, and I think it's in my pile to read. And I know, Peter, you were a fan, I think, of Ryan North's Fantastic Four.
I've been a fan of Ryan North for 20 years since Dinosaur Comics started coming out in 2003. I'm a full-on Ryan North fan.
Okay, you're one of those.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah. But this run is banging, and I have some
even Squirrel Girl.
Yes, even Squirrel Girl. I love Squirrel Girl.
Well, you don't need negativity on this channel. We said this is going to be
You have to banish me too, Omar.
I'll keep the pitch short. I know I can go long. I'll keep it short. This is Fantastic Four. Every story is 1 issue or 2 issues. Every story digs deep into who one of the characters are and why they respond in the situation if they do. And honestly, it's the best all ages comic book at Marvel right now. It doesn't have any kids in it. The kids are specifically not in it for a reason. I would hand this to a 5-year-old. I would hand this to a 70-year-old. I would hand this to a 70-year-old. It is pleasing for everybody. It's got all-timer issues. The 2 issues right before this, 10 and 11, are 2 of my favorite Fantastic Four issues of all time. And issues 12 and 13 are this dinosaur arc with the dinosaur version of Doom that everybody was all excited about because it looks absurd. And it read exactly as absurd as it is. This Fantastic Four run could go on forever. This is 100% what I've always wanted to read in a Fantastic Four book. And you can hand anybody any single issue because it's all readable that way.
Wow. That's
I've been letting this bank. I read pretty much everything Ryan North does, but I haven't had the time to read this. I figure when he's further down the pipe, I'll read it. But yeah.
Everybody who has Marvel Unlimited, put on your calendars for 2 months from now to read issue 10 or issue 11. They are 2 of the best Fantastic Four stories of all time.
I forgot Marvel stole Stephanie Phillips from me. I don't think that's legal, Bard. She can go where she wants to. Cap Wolf and the Howling Commandos. That's what Stephanie Phillips is writing with Carlos Magno on art, who's also a solid artist. They put him on all these little mini-series books, but that guy's a great artist. What was he? Was he doing Savage Avengers, I think? But look at that cover. It's Ryan Brown cover. Collecting Howling Commandos 1 through 4. And is this out yet?
First 2 issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so they brought Cap Wolf back. Got it.
It's an alternate reality.
I mean, Peter, you've read them?
It's an alternate reality.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, please tell me they're going for it though, because something like this, you gotta just turn off your inner editor and just go for it.
It's an alternate reality. Okay. And Punisher, the bullet that follows. This is collecting the first 4 issues of the Punisher. David Pepose and Dave Watcher. Rod Reyes on art on the covers. I just got this trade in.
This is the new Punisher. This is the not Frank Castle Punisher.
Yes, is that what we're going to call him? The not Frank Castle
Well,
Punisher?
I don't really follow this thing. I thought that Jason Aaron Punisher miniseries that was recently that was just stunning. Was just absolutely stunning. But I'm not a hardcore Punisher fan, and I wondered if hardcore Punisher fans liked it or not. I can see that maybe they wouldn't.
I just got the trade in yesterday, so I haven't read it.
It's gripping. It's totally gripping.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi is coming out, collecting the 6-issue mini. I don't think it's an ongoing. Jody Hauser and Salvador La Roca.
It's a straight up shot for shot adaptation of the Disney Plus show.
Oh, okay.
But it's interesting because Hauser plays with the pace, and some of the things that I had a problem with in the show just aren't here. She basically just does it in a panel. LaRocca does a panel, and we just skip over it. And then, of course, LaRocca does an extremely amazing Vader, who is in this. So I actually might like it more than the show. 3 issues are out so far. I want to say I read 3 issues. Yeah, looks great. Really good looking comic.
I thought that was pretty great.
And if you want to go back to look at old Salvador La Roca artwork, can't believe I'm saying this is old, but this is the Iron Man Modern Era Epic Collection, Volume 3. Iron Man. Where is Curtis? I wanted to talk to him about this. Invincible Iron Man 1 through 19. So, Riley, where do you think modern Epic would start? If this is Volume 3, where do you think Iron Man Volume 1 would be?
Is it the what was the one that got the omnibus with was it Sean Chen on artwork?
It was Kurt Busiek and Sean Chen.
Yeah, would that be where it starts?
No, I think that's too early.
Too early? What was right before this? Mike Grell?
No, Grell was right after the Busiek.
Oh, we did have the
Quesada.
Extremis.
Yeah.
The Warren Ellis, and then the Knopf brothers.
Yes.
And
Director of Shield.
So that would be it.
Yeah, I think so too. Peter, you agree?
Yeah, if we're saying these can be like 20-ish issues each, I think that would perfectly line up.
Okay.
Because there's Extremis is 1 through 6, then the brothers go
they had a long arc. They had a long arc, especially with that Director of Shield.
Yeah, there's 35 issues that come directly before this, and then a couple of one-shots, so it's almost perfectly 2 epics.
Yeah. So I think that's where it starts. You agree, Jess? You've read the stuff, right?
Oh, sure, yeah. This was one of my early recommendations that Riley Yes. He ordered me to get all of the Matt Fraction books for Iron Man, even though they were deluxe, standard hardcover, trade paperback, deluxe. They were in like 5 different formats, and I got them all, and I will be reading them someday soon. But it was an early recommendation.
I don't remember recommending that, so
you don't?
No, not like to the point that I would consider it one of those. Also, if it was one, I feel like you've read every other one that I gave you, so that's
actually, yeah, that's probably the only one I haven't read, because I've read the Jeff Parker Hulk series 3 times already. That's was awesome.
Will the Ghost Rider doorposter be included in the omnibus? Can you ask them about using it as a cover? Will the upcoming box be on the direct market? I don't know about the box. Have they done boxes on? I think some of them have direct market, or the boxes. You're talking about the little UPC box, right? Like the ISBN where it goes. Some of them do have them, but most of the time they take the boxes out because they're working from the original artwork. But as far as the poster, I'm pretty sure that will be included in there. Captain America, Bucky Reborn. This is the new printing of Volume 3, collecting issues 120 to 138, the Gene Colan and John Romita era. And then the Avengers Volume 1 is coming back to print, collecting all 20 issues. And of course, I'm sorry, the price point is $44.99. And then this one is also $44.99, 456 pages. This collects issues 1 through 20. And Avengers 200, one of the most controversial comics.
Yes.
The cover of Volume 11.
Oh, good. This includes annual number 10 in as well. So you can.
Oh, yes, you have to. Hey, look, everything is okay.
you can read issue 200 and then read Claremont's
Just
venomous, vehement disgust in comic book form. Yeah, asked and answered in the same issue or same collection.
Avengers 189 to 209, annual 10, and then Tales to Astonish, number 12.
Yeah. Which is a very odd case of like, should creators really be nakedly attacking each other like that? But Claremont's not wrong, so I have a lot of talk.
The Old Republic is coming back to print for the people that missed it or didn't get a chance to get the omnibus. I love the Old Republic. So this collects the Knights of the Old Republic 1 through 18 and Knights of the Old Republic Rebellion number 0, 440 pages and $44.99. Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection Assassination, Volume 19, 311 and 325 is getting a new printing. Annual 23, Marvel graphic novel Amazing Spider-Man Parallel Lives. 480 pages, $44.99. And there's that cover by Todd McFarlane. So this is the beginning. No, this is all Todd McFarlane, and then get the fill-in issue of Assassination with Eric Larson there. And this is the cover for Big Apple Battleground. So this is volume 10 of Amazing Spider-Man. And collecting issues 165 to 185, Amazing Spider-Man Annual 11 and 12, and Nova 12, and Marvel Calendar 78. So that's the Wolfman era. And Fall from Grace is getting a new printing, collecting the Daredevil 319 to 332. Annual 10. How did you all feel about Fall from Grace? I'm one of these people that actually enjoy this story, but I think it gets a lot of hate.
It's not the most coherent thing.
That's a nice way of putting it.
It's unusually restrained for you, Peter. Please tell us how you really feel.
What about you, Norwegian Assassin?
It's really not. I tried. I couldn't get there with it.
That should be a blurb on the back of the book. ... I tried.
I tried. ... Yeah.
Okay.
I just tapered off at a certain point.
Okay. Jess, Riley, thoughts? Have y'all read this era of okay.
Have not.
I will say I do actually enjoy the armored Daredevil suit quite a bit. I don't know how in the minority I am on that, but I think it's a pretty fun costume.
I do need that action figure.
Love that costume. Yeah, Daredevil. I dug it. X-Men Epic Collection, The Gift. This is one of the ones that's been out of print for a while.
It's been out of print a long
Forever.
This was one of the early ones, wasn't it? This has been out of print quite a while.
Yeah, this has been out of print for a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
Collecting Uncanny X-Men 189 to 198, X-Men Annual 8, X-Men in Alpha Flight 1 and 2, and Nightcrawler 1 through 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, a big chunk of this is already collected in Uncanny 5. 512 pages, $49.99. Man, there's so many epics. Where is Curtis?
I know.
Thor Epic Collection, The Lost Gods. No Thor on the cover, or Odin's son, that is. But this is the era. This is such a fun era. 503 to 513, -1, Valkyrie 1, and Hercules in the Heart of Chaos. This is the era where Thor was leased over to the Image creators, and Marvel was like, well, why don't we just make a journey in a mystery comic book? And they did for like a year. Did you all read this stuff when it was coming out? No, Lars? Peter?
No, when it was coming out, I have read it since then. I really like the Asgard extended cast. I will always enjoy a book with Warriors 3 or Sif or anybody like that. So I like when Thor steps off the main stage and we see the extended cast, but that's true for me in almost every franchise. I would always read the support book of every Marvel franchise that has all of the extended cast.
I thought this was a fun series.
So if it's an Aunt May comic, you're there.
Yes, and The Secret Life of Aunt May. Is that
Right
a
here.
David Bowie figure? What is that?
It's Aunt May, buddy.
What?
Secret
It looks like David Bowie in Life on Mars.
It
Come on,
sort of
somebody
does.
back me up.
God.
I had to get her. I had to get her to complete my Galactus diorama since she was a
You're
herald.
so ridiculous.
Is it Margaret Thatcher? I mean, I don't know.
She does have a coat and tie on.
Speaking of epics, do you have an update on the new epic announcements? I'm just waiting on covers right now, and Once I get the covers, and actually, no, I'm also waiting on content. I will send the list over to Curtis so we can start working on it. Planet of the Apes Fall of Man sampler bundle of 20. This is interesting. Oh, it's free comic book day? It says free.
Free.
Huh. Dave Watcher and David Walker. And then the Epic Collection that they wanted to put in there before the movie came out. Planet of the Apes Adventures. So this is the Epic Collection, the original Marvel years. Collecting Adventures of Planet of the Apes 1 through 11, which is the adaptation of the first two movies. And 224 pages, $34.99.
By the way, it is on Marvel Unlimited now. So I read a couple of the issues last night. It's fun. I mean, it's Doug Munch. It's fun adaptations if you have a love of the original Planet of the Apes movies. I read the first couple of issues, and it's, you know, it's enjoyable 70s Pulp Fiction comics.
It's very I do like how they expand or try to expand on a couple of things, like mainly from the movie, that they were like, well, we didn't have this particular character's name, so we'll just expand a little bit on this character. I want to say this is the same page count that the Omnibus was, because the Omnibus didn't really have a lot of extras. It's mainly restoration of the artwork. What does Warren like besides Bendis and Ultimate Spider-Man?
Is Warren like 13 saying gross? Gross. Planet of the Apes.
Just because it's not for you, it doesn't mean it's bad.
I know Omar said
Gross.
I know Omar said Warren likes manga, but he really doesn't. Like
What?
in the manga shows, he just downs on everything as well.
Okay. There's got to be something that Warren agrees with this. I know he likes
Good
Bendis and
luck.
New Avengers. Like, he's praying for New Avengers Omnibus too. Spider-Man Reign is being reprinted because it's getting a follow-up. This is by Carrie Andrews. Spider-Man. I know that I think a lot of people really enjoy this book. At least I think it was a success. Otherwise, they're, you know, why would they do a follow-up to this? But I just can't get over the fact that what happened to Mary Jane, the cause of what happened to Mary Jane. And yeah, it was just kind of ridiculous. But they are doing a follow-up. It's kind of like the Dark Knight. As a matter of fact, Carrie Andrews kind of adapted his art style to look like Frank Miller's Dark Knight art.
I don't remember what happened. I remember reading this and enjoying it, but I don't remember what you did.
There's a few tracks of Spider-Man where my memory gets hazy. Is this the horrifying one where she dies from radioactivity in the worst possible way?
Yes.
Aha. Okay.
I was like, what?
Well, glad they're trying to fix that.
Well, they're doing a follow-up. I don't know if it's before or after.
I thought radioactivity made you a superhero in Marvel Universe.
Not if you're MJ.
That's not how she becomes Jackpot?
No, that Jackpot, oh God. That Jackpot was not even MJ, not in the Brand New Day era, or oh man, never mind.
They should have maybe reconsidered a storyline where you have to squirm to even, you know, summarize it for someone. Yeah.
Hey, I will stand up for this. Black Widow by Kelly Thompson is rocking awesome.
Could we not get an omnibus? Like, no oversized treatment for this run? Eisner winning run. Marvel doesn't get to say that too often.
Eisner winning, Omnidog winning. It's great.
It was one of this up. This was one of the 20 issues that Jess read in 2020.
I picked a good book to read that year.
It was great. I loved it. It made it in my list of top 20s in 2020.
Elena Casagrande finally on like a huge stage getting the attention she needs. I love her from doing Suicide Run with Mark Carey, and I've always been waiting for her to be in a big Marvel book, and this was quite a star-making turn for her. Not that she wasn't already a star, but Yeah, this is such an easy pick up and read. That's been great about Black Widow the past couple of years, in the same way that the Samney and Wade Black Widow, you don't have to know anything, you don't have to read anything, you just pick it up and read it. This is the same way. Kelly Thompson gives you everything you need to know. She has a very fun, modern voice for Black Widow that still feels in character, and it just looks spectacular. I would, in tone and art, compare it to the current Tom Taylor Nightwing series. It's just bombastic, action-packed, fun, really cool layouts.
This is for you, Bar. Here it is. Your female-led big trade paperback. You need to read
she's been at me to get an omnibus of this for a few years now, and I'm like, I don't think they would make it an omnibus because there's not that many issues. But what they could do is maybe have a Black Widow modern omnibus. That would be really cool. That way I can get my Chris Samney oversized artwork too from Mark Waid's run. But this was my favorite Black Widow comic. It was excellent.
Yeah.
And I agree with Noel.
Oh, yeah.
He's saying that Jeffrey Scott Campbell covers totally all wrong for the book. They should have chosen one of her, Elena Casagrande's internal spread pages are so freaking awesome. Like whenever there's that kitchen scene where she's just detailing every second of this fight scene that's happening with Black Widow, Natasha just moving around the whole kitchen. Oh, it's so good.
She's got Barbie feet on that cover.
Civil War 2.
God.
What?
There you go, Warren. Where's
there
Warren?
You go, Riley.
Black Widow, gross. Okay.
Okay, that is ridiculous.
All right, where is Warren on this one?
Warren
I don't even know how Warren can.
Well, given the contrarian nature of every statement he makes, I'm sure that he loves this one.
Civil War 2, Brian Michael Bendis. Was it Olivier Coipel? I thought it was David Marquez.
No, Marquez.
Yeah, maybe they did.
I think
Coipel
did the free comic book day.
The free comic book day. That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
Collecting issues 0 through 8, free comic book day, 296 pages, $34.99. War's just laughing. I don't know what that means. He loves it. Probably. You got a tattoo of Civil War 2 on your back. Who's the one character that? I think if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know how I feel about Civil War 1. I hate it. I hate it. It's awful. Civil War 2, I still don't even know how to answer that. Is it worse or better than Civil War 1? I don't know.
Riley, do you have a bottle of bourbon next to you so you could tell us about Civil War 2?
I don't currently, but I did just recall that event the other night.
In a fever dream?
No, talking about with my family about times that I was led to drink by different events, and this was one. I said, one of the worst comics I've ever read. It led me to drink. Yeah, that's what I will say. Is it in comparison to Civil War 1? Civil War 1 did not make me drink half a bottle of bourbon. Civil War 2
cocaine instead. So yeah.
I do. There are blurbs here. This is Bendis at his best. Visually stunning.
Ooh.
Visually stunning is the way that I would put this. This is a visually stunning book. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. No. Again, Oliver.
But I also love the artwork in Civil War 1. I think the artwork in Civil War 1 is absolutely stunning.
It was
very
sobering.
cinematic.
It was sobering recently to be reminded that apparently Civil War is Marvel's best-selling trade paperback ever. Good grief.
It's not surprising.
That's actually the book that brought me back to comics, kinda.
Oh, did it?
Because I bought Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 for PlayStation 2, and it adapted the Civil War storyline. So I went to my local comic book shop and I got the Civil War trade, and that was the beginning of the end of my savings account.
Now, did you like again Civil War, or did it just hurl you down this well that you've not gotten out of yet?
Here's the thing that I think us grizzled old veterans miss about this. Civil War was so fun to read to me as somebody who hadn't read comics for a while, because it had all of the toys that I liked being toys.
Yeah.
Now that I've read all of the comics of theirs on either side of Civil War, I know that it was total BS and it makes no sense as a story and it's hateful garbage. But I But at the time, it brought me in as a reader, and that's what counts. And when I look at this, it's got all of the characters from the movies. It looks fantastic. And I will say, the central plot device here just makes more sense in a way than the original Civil War, which had that whole idea of like, well, sometimes people get killed in the crossfire of hero battles. Yeah, no shit. We know that. Right. But this one, it's really more about like, well, what if we knew the bad things that would happen as a result of the heroes? Wouldn't we have a responsibility to do something about that? I mean, look, Brian Bendis is no Philip K. Dick. This is not Minority Report or any other, high-minded sci-fi, but as good as Bendis can do with that concept in the Marvel universe with however many issues, I think it is. And it looks spectacular. So would I hand this to a brand new Marvel reader who knows Marvel from the movies? Absolutely. And they would love it.
So you're saying that Civil War 1 was a portal drug?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Gateway
drug.
Gateway drug.
Yeah. That was a bigger gateway drug than a guy in Australia spinning a bolo above his head. I went right through that.
I'm so glad you did that. So, Portal was the other Darkhawk guy.
I wouldn't put this to if an MCU fan wanted something, I would not hand this to them because they'd be like, why does Thanos have a rocket launcher? What is going on here?
He had a helicopter at one time too, so
yeah. But if they're
using human technology
from the moon,
I do recall Thanos being written particularly horribly. Yeah.
Yes, this was awful.
But he's not in the rest of the event. That was
he's
comic book
really
day issue because
yeah, they're also going to be like, how come Thanos is at the beginning, but then the rest of it's not about Thanos at all? Like that. There's so much about this that is just terrible, and like. The fact that Bendis even thinks that he can do Minority Report with a character that like doesn't matter. And that's one of the problems is like you introduce someone to this character and then they're going to be like, oh, well, what happens with that? Nothing. Like what? It's not self-contained. It's just irresponsible.
But that was always my problem. Oh my God, I cannot believe we've spent so much time with this. That was always my problem with Bendis is like he has these ideas, but he never like executed them. He did the exact same thing with Layla Miller. And I will never forget being on the Bendis message boards back then. And he was like hyping up the character. This is going to be the best character you're ever going to see at Marvel Comics. Yes, it's one of the greatest characters because of Peter David.
Yeah.
Like he just left her. Like there was nothing to that character in House of M. And I can go on about that, but yeah, Civil War 2 is coming back to print for people, like Peter said, that you want to give it to a friend of yours that loves
it. That's all that matters.
Give it alongside your favorite bourbon. Nice pairing.
Right.
It was a terrible.
That should be a video.
It pairs with
Jim liquor pairings.
It pairs with Jim Beam wonderfully.
Wait, it's being collected in an omnibus. What's the omnibus I announced that has Civil War 2 in it? Does anybody remember?
Why would an omnibus have Civil War?
Where would it even make sense in an omnibus?
Hold on, I'm thinking.
That's all live, captured live and on air, by the way, on an early Omnibros episode. Probably one of the best episodes ever. Was Riley just in real time getting drunk and ripping Civil War 2 apart? It was
maybe I'm just maybe I'm not remembering things. And it could have been in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but it's not.
I got sent home from work the next day because of how green I looked from all of the.
I forgot about that.
Marvelverse Daredevil, collecting stories of Daredevil to introduce new readers to Uncanny Origins 13, whether they're canon or not, doesn't matter. Marvel H Spider-Man 15, Daredevil 235. Daredevil 30 and material from Daredevil Annual number 1. Hecking Rom can get an omnibus, but not Black Widow. Well, that's because in 30 years, I've told you about this, Bar. In 30 years' time, you can get your Kim Possible omnibus when you're old enough to have that nostalgia for this stuff.
Well, Black Widow did get the Black Widow Strikes.
Yes, which was the old school stuff.
Yes.
So I've got to just give Marvel a little bit of credit there. Like it's an Eisner-winning run. They wanted to get in the hands of people. You're right. Omnibuses have like a premium nostalgia factor for them, and I want to see all of our women characters in Masterworks in Omnibus. But if we want people to just read more of that run, the trade paperbacks are already hard to get. Like this is the way. This is the way to build the hype cycle for a book that eventually, yes, deserves an omnibus. And sometimes, unfortunately, that is the path that has to be taken for titles led by women, because some people think they're gross or woke just because they have a woman in them. And so they don't get the attention that they deserve when they are Marvel's best title at that time.
That's why I don't understand the term woke, is because it feels like everyone's just like, oh, it's a lady, it's woke. What does woke mean?
Sorry to even bring it up, Omar. The chat was having a whole summit on woke while we were talking earlier. I do not want to have a woke
in
debate. 2023.
It's almost over, and you're trying to get me canceled.
I'm sorry. Don't cancel Omar. Give
Yeah.
him 3 more days,
Yep.
folks. There's plenty of chances to
Captain-
cancel him in 2024.
I'm
It's a leap
trying
year.
to figure out where the freak I saw Civil War 2 in an omnibus. Or maybe I saw it and then they pulled it.
It was, you had a nightmare about it, is what it was. You woke up sweating the other night and
Had a fever
it
dream.
stuck with you. Yeah, you were like, oh my God, Civil War 2 in an omnibus, no.
Yeah, because Melanie was saying that Omar woke up screaming, "The Omni's got me! The Omni's got me!"
Oh, man, okay. I'm trying to remember what it was, and I cannot. Okay, maybe like I said, it was all.
Everybody in the chat is saying there is some of Civil War II in one of the Spencer Captain America omnibuses.
That's it.
Could be.
That's it. Let me go double check that mapping. So I'm really good about holding the stuff in, and I realize I'm 45. Is it happening now? Is it happening that I'm going to start forgetting things?
No,
Your body is changing,
I discovered
Omar.
you reached the age where your knowledge is still strong, but you second guess yourself all the time.
My body is changing. Thank you for that, Peter. Civil War II: The Oath is in Captain America by Spencer. I knew I saw
that makes
something
sense.
there. Okay. Really quick, our sponsor for this part of the episode is Walt's Comic Shop. They're based out of Berlin, Germany, and they have the cheapest pre-order prices for all big books from Marvel and DC. Flat rate shipping of €12 for all EU countries. Tell them Near Mint Condition sent you their way at the checkout. You get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order of over €40 or more. Melanie's not here, so I will let Jess sing the jingle. Walt's Comic Shop. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in which continent, Jess?
Europe. Europe. Europe.
That was
Europe.
great.
Ting.
All right.
Ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, ting.
Are you
Going back
strangling a
to the
chicken?
beginning really quick to do it. But take Alpha Brain, Omar. Is that a thing? What kind of experimental drug are you getting me
What in
into?
God's name is he saying?
It's for my my brain.
Oh, okay.
All right, Mystic Omnibus is coming out, and we'll go back, and if anybody in the chat wants me to go and review something,
The Brandon Anderson cover.
Yes, Brando Sando took a break from his
I-
multi-million-dollar
yeah.
Kickstarters to
I've
come
had,
and draw.
I've had dinner with Brandon Peterson. He's a lovely bloke. He's also Scandinavian, so of course I like him instantly.
Oh, interesting, Lars.
Yeah.
Is the sound of Lars dropping a name.
Dude, Lars, I had dinner with Brando Sando too the other night.
Please, this is exceedingly low fame, for me.
I forget all the stars that you met when you were working at Wizard Magazine,
Oh.
and you were in a comic book, Lars. Let's not forget that.
Oh, that's right.
Please,
You
let's move
have.
on.
Can I have my comic book signed by you? My omnibus.
No. Please let's move on. Please let's move on. Please, let's move
Ghost
on.
Rider, Daddy Ketch Omnibus. You're so humble. Volume 1 now. That's the important thing. Volume 1, not Danny Ketch Omnibus. So what I thought when I saw the list, I thought, oh, we're going to get a Spirits of Vengeance Omnibus, and that's where the rest of the series is going to go. But nope, we're getting a Danny Ketch Volume 1. Very excited for that. Excalibur Volume 3 has been moved to September of 2024. Still coming out, and this is the actual retail, 1,304 pages. And Avengers by Busiek and Perez Omnibus Volume 2 is coming out. This is the new printing. And the Invincible Iron Man Omnibus Volume 2 new printing also coming out, as well as Iron Man Volume 3. Really excited. Okay, there we go. Warren is actually excited about something. Woohoo, Excalibur. That's
Wow.
a shocker, actually.
That really is.
Warren thinks that people won't want it because of something like Ellis on there, so that's why he's excited about it. It's still that contrarianism that's coming out.
Interesting.
Oh.
Extreme X-Men, I really love this take on issue number 1 cover. So I think the DM cover for me. This is the God Loves Man Kills cover, I think. But
I
this one here
really
is
need
awesome.
that paperback collection organized somehow by somebody. All
You're
my
still going
Extreme
on.
X-Men.
we're talking about Omnis right now. We'll get to that,
Oh,
Jess.
sorry. Okay.
Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 4. Lots of people excited for this one. Lots of folks. Marvel Masterworks Uncanny 1, the Remasterworks, as well as Remasterworks Spider-Man 3. Jim Rugg's Hulk Grand Designs coming out in trade. And then Fantastic Four Marvel Masterworks. Breaking news. Didn't have to put on the suit. You're welcome, everybody. Volume 26 is coming out. I really thought I had announced this one. Luke Cage getting his own miniseries. Seal of approval from Peter M., I believe. Amazing Spider-Man. Gang
Weak
War.
seal, not the full seal.
Ups and Downs by Peter M. Incredible Hulk definitely got the seal of approval from Peter M. Look at that cover.
No, I did not say that.
What about Hulk?
I said the art was good.
I thought you sold. What? You sold me on this.
Hulk.
You sold me.
I
on
say
getting
nice
this
things
book.
about bad comics all the time.
Oh,
This is the show where I'm
Peter,
nice.
What the heck? Jinx.
What the hell?
Like, you just made mine and Jess's brain snap. What is wrong with you, Peter?
What?
I'm just
You
saying, if
spent
we're handing
30
out an
minutes
official
talking about-
crisis stamp of approvals, then we gotta start getting real specific.
Okay. Black Panther by Eve Ewing. I'm going to ask what everybody's excited about. Then you can tell me what you're really excited about instead of giving me a 30-minute spiel on a book you're lukewarm about. Wolverine by Benjamin Percy, Volume 8. Sabretooth War Part 1 is coming. Astonishing Iceman Out Cold, which is the Lars seal of approval, I think, maybe. Alpha Flight. You know what? I'm done with seal of approval. I don't trust Peter or Lars anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
Why
what
would
this-
you?
I
No,
don't know
you
what.
shouldn't. I'm not saying Iceman's the best ever, but it's interesting. It's certainly
Okay.
interesting.
Alpha Flight, Divided We Stand. And the Jerry Duggan returning to Uncanny Avengers, The Resistance. Is this an ongoing or is it a mini?
I think it's a mini.
Okay.
It's a mini. It's already over.
Because of course X-Men's about to have a hard reset here coming up. So.
Yes. X-Force Volume 8. Fantastic Four. I'm skipping by this one because I don't even know what to say about Peter anymore. Cat Wolf and the Howling Commandos. Look at that cover. Ah, that's awesome. And the Punisher, the new Punisher, the Bullet That Follows. And what Lars called him, hashtag not my Punisher or not Frank Castle Punisher. What did you say, Lars?
I did no such thing.
My
You were so
Punisher
controversial
is in
today.
another castle.
I just
What
said
is
he
the
was the
hashtag?
next Frank.
Yeah, he was hashtagging something. He was like, not Frank Cat, not my Punisher.
I didn't mention a hashtag.
Not
You
my
did.
Punisher.
I'm hashtagging it for you.
Ooh.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Thank you for that clarification of what that is, Peter. And Iron Man Modern Epic Collection Volume 3. Cap Volume 3 reprint, as well as Avengers Volume 1. And then Avengers Volume 11. My goodness, so many Avengers. And Star Wars Epic Collection, The Old Republic Volume 1 is getting a reprint, as well as Amazing Spider-Man Volume 19 and Amazing Spider-Man Volume 10 is coming out in May. Fall from Grace. I think I'm the only one that gave this one a seal of approval, so take that as you will. Love it.
Oh.
And The Gift coming out as reprints, as well as Thor, but no Thor in this. The Lost Gods. This is the Journey into Mystery era of Thor. Without Thor. I know that's confusing. Planet of the Apes, Fall of Man Sampler. It's a bundle of 20 for free. And then the Epic Collection of Planet of the Apes Adventures. Really, really hope we get the black and white mags of that. Spider-Man Reign, seal of approval from Omnidog. Black Widow, seal of approval
No,
from
this book
everybody.
got my seal of approval.
That's
I was listening. Don't think I fell asleep.
Black Widow. That's definitely a seal of approval from,
Yes.
I think, the entire panel.
Sure.
So good. Dang it, seal of approval from Riley, Civil War
Oh, yeah.
2.
Yeah.
And
Hungover.
Marvelverse Daredevil. All right, gentlemen in the panel and everybody that is watching, what is the one book you're most excited for? One book out of this solicit.
Ghost Rider Omnibus.
Heck yes.
That is
All day, every day.
I'm
Oh
coming.
my God. I cannot wait to have that text artwork in oversized format. Why are you most excited about this one, Riley? Just out of curiosity. Tell me.
This is an era that I grew up next to but didn't read because I wasn't like reading a ton of I was a very small child. And so my, weekly couple bucks allowance, if I was buying a comic, it was usually going to be Spider-Man. But this has always been something that I've wanted to visit. The just aesthetic of the book, the character himself is always something I've wanted to go back to, and I've been saving myself for an eventual hopeful omnibus, and we're finally here.
The way you just said that, you've
I
been
know.
saving yourself. That's adorable.
I know.
Really quickly, Gabrielle's asking something important. Greetings from Mexico. Glad to see Chris, Mr. Norwegian, Mr. Omnidog. Omar, with the omnibus of Ghost Rider, do you think that Volume 2 of Ghost Rider cannot be considered? Well, it's considered more now, because if you see there, it is labeled in Omnibus Volume 1 now.
I think perhaps they mean the Epic Volume 2.
Oh, did you mean Epic? Let me go back to that. Sometimes I read these things so quick. No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I will use this as a prime example. This month, this January, we're getting the Clone Saga, the reprint of the Omnibus, and the Epic Collection Volume 1 of the Clone Saga. So they realize, I think this is the first time it's happened, that they have a different market for different people now. So people will get the Omnibus, and some people will get the Epic Collections. Then the crazy nut jobs out there will get both.
Crazy.
I know who that is. I know you're. I can't be alone with X-Men, right? I'm not alone. Peter
might be.
Peter has Masterworks.
I mean, if I get that Remasterworks, that'll probably be my 8th copy of that material. So.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay.
I have the Masterworks, but not the Omnis.
Omnidog, what are you most excited for?
Well, I was excited for Hulk by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and now I don't know what to think.
Peter.
I guess Ghost Rider, because my 2 collections are now worthless, and you're welcome. So, and that's Fantastic Four sounds really exciting. I think I can trust Peter on that one because it's by Ryan North. So the Fantastic Four trade and that Ghost Rider Omnibus.
All right, so the Fantastic Four trade. What was it? What was the one thing that you heard from Peter that you were like, oh, that sounds really good?
That was about Incredible Hulk.
Oh, yeah, me too. What was the you know what sold me on this one? When Peter said 2 of the best Fantastic Four
that's right.
I've read were in the previous collection, which I'm about to read, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
so
2 his all-time favorites.
But did he really mean it?
That is true. I don't know if he meant it or not. Dang it, Peter. You're such a conundrum. All right, Peter, what are you most excited for? Please say Hulk, because that would be hilarious.
Look, folks, I read hundreds of issues to get ready for this show. I can recommend the books to the people who will like the books. If I'm speaking personally, you will note that I never said favorite or enjoy in describing the Hulk book, because I strongly dislike Philip Kennedy Johnson's writing, and we can go into that in some other episode. But I come on this show to talk about why people should like things. So if I made you all excited about Hulk, even though I have to bite my lip to get through every issue because I'm so annoyed by it, then I did my job well. And there is nothing I'm excited for in this. There are no books that I'm reading other than the 2 new Epic collections. This is a total miss for me.
Peter, do you have a scythe behind you that we just can't see in your screen or something?
0 out of 10 would not recommend.
Okay, so
because I don't buy New Marvel, and there's no X-Men. Oh no, I'm lying. The Extreme X-Men Omnibus. That's my buy from this Extreme X-Men Omnibus. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. What is it about the Extreme X-Men?
And Excalibur. I was thinking about the trades, because I talk about the trades because I read them digitally.
Yeah. I'm talking
but then
about
I don't buy trades. Oh no, I'm buying the Extreme X-Men Omnibus. I'm buying the Excalibur Omnibus, and then I buy every Marvel Epic collection. So I'll be buying Spider-Man 10, Thor: New Gods, and Planet of the Apes.
Are you doing Ghost Rider as well?
I already have Ghost Rider in Epic, and I have it in singles. So even though I know it deserves to be in oversized, I don't think it's going to join the oversized shelf in this.
Danny Ketch line has been canceled. You have to get it in Omnibus format. Excalibur 3. Let's talk about this one really quick.
Because I love this stuff.
I do too, but not as much as I loved, of course, the first 2. And when people ask me, like, what are my thoughts about this era? I always say, don't expect like what you found in Volume 2, and definitely don't expect what you found in the Alan Davis era. This is like, Alan Davis is leaving the book. let's hurry up and make Excalibur as important and tie it into everything else going on in the X-Men stories. Let's have Rachel and Jean Grey actually meet and talk to each other. And then you get Warren Ellis, who comes in with this new idea about making the book a little bit darker. And I forgot about the Soul Sword trilogy. They finally did something with that story, because Ileana promised the sword and armor to Kitty Pryde before she, like, if anything were to happen to her, she would inherit them. And nobody did anything with it long after issue 303 of Uncanny X-Men. And then we finally get that in here. So I remember thinking, wow, they remembered that storyline. That's awesome. So this one, it's got a lot of good in it.
It's the moment where, Alan Davis Excalibur is its own singular thing. I think we've got a lot of fans on it in this panel because, it separates these characters from the X-Men and lets them become a family. I would say, if I had to pitch this book in opposition to that, this is where the characters again become X-Men characters. So it picks up X-Men plots about Kurt's parentage, Kitty and the Soul Sword, the Starjammers, Rachel as Phoenix. It brings back things that connects them more to the X-Men universe and less things that make them their own unit. And in that way, it is very exciting. But it also participates in things like the Phalanx Covenant and Age of Apocalypse and things like that in this period as well. So it's a give and take, right? Like, part of what made Excalibur so exciting was that it was separate, and this is not separate, but part of what makes these characters exciting is that we love them and they have a long history in X-Men, and that's part of what makes it a good book to read too.
See, Excalibur, the actual Ellis stuff. Oh yeah, this is Scott Lobdell, and then Ellis comes in to take you all the way to 103. Who comes in after Terry? Not Cabana.
Ben Robb.
Ben Robb. That was it. Yeah. All right, Lars, Norwegian Assassin. What's the one book you're most excited for, my friend?
I know I'm the only person to feel this way, but I'll go for the Star Wars adaptation of Kenobi. Just because,
really?
Well, hold on. Because
okay.
I think, well, first of all, I actually enjoyed that TV show. And I did too. I think there's still value in comic book publishers doing adaptations of TV shows and movies. Some of them are disposable garbage, but some of them are very good. And they keep doing these for Star Wars. And I think that's great because they don't really do those for the MCU, do they? It's funny how they've done like a ton of like prelude to this movie or, epilogue to this movie or whatever. They rarely adapt the actual thing. And I remember Star Wars does a good job of this because I'm a big fan of the Heir to the Empire novels. Mm-hmm. And of course they did that in comic book form as well. And I'm like, hey, great. So yeah, I'll be interested in seeing this.
Lars, you are an interesting fellow. That's why I love you.
I do what I can.
And for me, I got to go with Riley. Yeah, Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider, my number one most wanted Omni. No glow in the dark cover, but what are you gonna do, right? Like
your own.
This
Make
is
custom cover.
You cannot. I don't. How? How would you even do that?
Get the issue and slap it on there.
Yeah, this is wonderful. I love this era. I love when Johnny Blaze comes in. Because this was my era growing up. I didn't know who the heck Johnny Blaze was. I was like, oh, there was a previous Ghost Rider. Oh, that's interesting. Who's this old guy? I remember he had a toothpick in his mouth, sunglasses. I mean, if you didn't look like that in the 90s, then you weren't badass. Then he had the Hellfire shotgun, which is so awesome. The only thing I'm honestly surprised is not collected in this is the Fantastic Four issues, the new Fantastic Four with Wolverine, Punisher, and Spider-Man when they replaced the Fantastic Four. I don't know why it's not included in here because I think it was during this time when that event was happening. But I'm super excited for this one. Let me see what the rest of the...
You're right. It is during this time. It is after issue 6.
Did you cheat and go to Crushing Crisis?
I did cheat and go to my own website. Citation, crushingcrisis.com.
Does that count? Does that count? All right. I'm going to see what everybody... Sounds like Omar needs to get a new panel. Can't trust this one. I can't trust what Peter's saying when he's really selling me on something. Then he just lets me down when he's like, oh, no.
We've never been trustworthy. I don't know where this good reputation came from.
Look, if this was a show only about comic books I liked, it would be a very short appearance from me.
Let me see here. Omar, is there a reason why
What's
Marvel
this
never
super-
released
Well-
2 volumes of the same title in the same year, especially if it's something guaranteed to sell? Danny Ketch, Volume 1 and 6 through 8 months later. Okay, some things have been released within the same year, like the Master Kung Fu Omnis, or the Conan Omnis. Oh my gosh, they pumped those out because they knew they were licensed and they knew, they may not get a chance to finish it. When it's their own line, when it's Spider-Man, when it's X-Men, they know to wait, right? Like for us as readers, the older we get, and I don't speak for everybody that gets older. Of course, you want everything now. I feel the same way, right? Like I feel like I would love to have all of X-Men, all of X-Men, even all the way past Onslaught up until like whenever. That would be awesome. But realistically, these are still people that have to put these products together, have to find the printer. And what David has always told me is that they also have other characters, right? Marvel is a big company that has. So whenever I see people mention in the comments like, oh, enough Spider-Man, where are the X-Men books? Or enough X-Men, where are the Avengers books? I mean, they know how to like put these books out there. And it's really, really cool that we live in a time that we now have New Mutants, Excalibur, X-Factor as omnibus editions. That's insane. Like I still have the mentality that an omnibus is very, very, very special, and we're only going to get one, and who knows when the next one will come out. Just because I was holding on to the thought that we would get an Uncanny Volume 2, and I came really close to buying that Phoenix hardcover so many times because I never thought we would have Uncanny 2. But now it's just insane to think about that was the mentality back then. So I hope that answers your question why they don't. They have so many other projects to work on. Like that'd be the short answer. Mystic Warren surprised me with Mystic.
What
Really? Ultimate Spider-Man 4, Danny Ketch. Ultimate Spidey. Yeah, Ultimate Spidey. Mystic. I just read the synopsis of it. Well, good on you, Bar. Civil War 2, liar. Greetings from my question. Ultimate Spider-Man 4, Iron Man Modern Epic Collection. Goodbye, my OHCs. But then what happens if they announce the Omnibus, Jet? Ghost Rider, Avengers 2, Danny Ketch, Omnibus. And it's time for Marvel Universe Omnibus by Kelly Thompson. Now that I could be behind. That would be good.
Yeah. I like
Well,
that.
are you excited at all for Marvel event Blood Hunt? Jed McKay. Oh, yeah, I'm excited. I got to hang out with Jed. He's such a cool dude. Super freaking tall, too. Like, all these Marvel guys are tall. Ed Brisson?
Are you sure it's just not you're short?
They're taller than you. Shut up. They're like ants. Like they were huge. They were ents, especially Al Ewing. The guy sounds like an ent too.
I think he was like 6 foot.
I hate you. Omar, call Riley adorable. That's a new sub-header. I am up for some Ghost Rider. Is Brand New Day coming out still? Sold my complete collection. Surely, yeah, it's coming out. I think it was delayed for a little bit. You told me a bit ago about Frank Miller Daredevil Omni restocks. Yes, I think it came and went already, didn't it? Or I can't keep up with restocks, but I think that might have come and gone.
I think so too.
So he was talking about the Epic. Okay. And I think I answered that one. Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2. I've not heard of that one's coming back to print. Clone Saga Omnibus 1 and the Epic Collection coming out the same month. Will there be a Ben Reilly? I can't believe people are asking for a restock of Ben Reilly Omnibus, but probably. And PKJ Hulk vibe sounds great. I saw the art. FF by North is my pick. There we go. I'm surprised you didn't go with that one either, Peter. But
again, I read New Marvel in digital, so
gotcha.
Yeah,
they add Pride and Wisdom. I think Pride and Wisdom was always there. It was Starjammers that I asked if they could add because that was also written by Ellis, and it kind of leads into a few stories. Plus, it's got beautiful artwork by Carlos Pacheco. You make me very excited, Peter. There you go. Omar, rank best to worst. Peter's reviewing Warren's judgment of what is gross and Batman's detectives. You guys,
that's tricky. That's definitely yeah.
Peter,
we get back to you next week. I mean,
Peter gets me really excited for some new books, so I gotta go with that one's the top. Warren has no taste. Warren has no. I don't know what he likes. And Batman Detective Skills is still a 6 out of 10. Occult Detective Skills.
see, Peter, when you said, if you were only talking about books you like, this would be very short. This is why I sometimes feel a little defensive when I say like a book was okay or it was readable or I enjoyed it. I'm actually not trying to insult it or say that I hate it. It's just sometimes you read books that are okay.
Yeah, and I really think
Extreme. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really think there's an interesting conversation to be had there about like the difference between a show where we are all stumping for our personal favorites, which we got a chance to do together a few times in the past month or two, and a show where we're just here to like tell people about why these new books are great. The thing I know is like not a lot of people are sitting down with Marvel Unlimited or even buying these issues digitally to read every Marvel comic book. And I know I'm a little unusual in that, and you're unusual in doing that for the whole X line. Not everybody even does that. So I see it as our duty to tell people what the high points of the comics are. I think Nick Klein and Matt Wilson's art on the Incredible Hulk book is phenomenal artwork. Do I like the book? No. But if you like horror Hulk, where he's doing kind of small town horror and it looks great, it is the book for you. I would have told you a very similar story about the Ryan Ottley, Donny Cates Hulk book, which I thought was incredibly dumb. But it was a great Incredible Hulk book. If you wanted big, pulpy, stupid, beat 'em up Hulk and you were tired of the monster stuff, I would have recommended it to you for that reason. There's good in almost every book. I mean, some books are also written by Brian Bendis, but there's good in almost every comic book.
Yeah. And I hope we bring a certain honesty to the table that when we strongly recommend something, it's because we genuinely mean it, as opposed to just a boingy reviewer who thinks everything's great. It's like, well,
Yeah, like when I truly meant that about Alpha Flight. I was like, I was laying in the middle of the floor. The family was just finishing up dinner, and I was just going, wow. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, there's so many cool bits in this comic book. I'm really having so much fun. So that's me being genuinely excited.
Why were you lying in the middle of the floor? Did you faint with excitement?
Because it's summer here in New Zealand, and it was hot, so I was trying to stay low to the ground.
Ah, interesting.
There was a question here. This is a good question. With today's comics barely reaching 12 issues before the new creative team coming in, does that hurt the omnibus collecting? It's a really good question, and I understand where you're coming from. But we still have some people that are writing long arcs. They're writing the long game. And I'm thinking of like Jed McKay on Moon Knight, for example. Jed McKay has been on Moon Knight for a while. Jason Aaron on Avengers. Chip Zdarsky, of course, on Daredevil. So I think they still, and I don't know what kind of deal Marvel makes with people. How long they have to stay, whether that contract is for like, oh, you got to write Avengers for like 5 years or 4 years. So I still think we do have long runs of things. It just makes it harder to collect those runs that are only 12 issues, like Mark Waid coming back to Captain America with Chris Samney.
Yeah.
How in the world, where would you even add that? Like, part of me was like, well, I guess I can ask if they can add it to Nick Spencer Volume 2, but it really doesn't fit into it, especially if it's called Captain America by Nick Spencer.
They do smaller omnis from time to time, and I don't think there's a problem with that. I'd love to see Mark Waid's Doctor Strange collected in omni form, but
that was a little bit longer, and that's coming out in a thick trade, and I think it'll be coming out because he did the Surgeon Supreme.
Yeah, exactly.
The march is on to Bartok,
which immediately stopped before he wanted it to, but yeah.
And the Inhumans Omnibus, Mystic Omnibus. So lots of people excited for the Avengers and Ultimate Spider-Man. Extreme X-Men, Black Widow, and of course Ghost Rider. I'm really happy that people are, because I never know, right? Like, just because it's my number one most wanted. But I kind of knew the people that have been collecting X-Men that a lot of people would be excited about Road to Onslaught.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one that I feel like Peter, when he was explaining, what's it called? The Incredible Hulk. I'm not going to lie. That stuff is not good. Like, Road to Onslaught is really bad X-Men.
Well,
and I'm so excited. Excited for it. I'm so excited for it.
It's just a good mentality to have. That just because it's not for you, that doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. Although I suspect Road to Onslaught is bad, but that's another story. So.
It was your magazine that hyped up Onslaught. Lars. It's your fault. It sold so well.
How did everything about that era become my fault? God.
Where's the Super Pro books? I'm having Fabian Nicieza join me. I think it's next week. Yeah, next Monday. We'll ask him. You know what's funny about Fabian? Like, he takes offense when people talk about Super Pro. He's like, like I remember goofing around with him in when I used to have a podcast back in 2005. It was the first time I interviewed him, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to stop you right there." I was in my 20s. He's like, "That book put food on my table.
Yeah,
that book paid for a roof."
Sure.
And I wasn't even joking about it. I was just going through a list of like, you're known for Nomad, and at the time you were also writing like 8 books. You were writing Super Pro, and he stopped at Super Pro because I guess he heard enough people joke about Super Pro that he was like, it gave me a big paycheck, and I was there for that.
Yeah,
and which is true. I'm sure a lot of writers take on characters or jobs that they aren't familiar with, and just because they need to eat too.
You got to feed the kids somehow. Sure.
Chuck Austin X-Men is better than Claremont X-Men. Ryan, ban yourself.
No,
just ban yourself.
Parts of Chuck Austin X-Men are better than parts of Claremont X-Men.
I'm trying to think. Elon wants to get Civil War 2. Ultimate Spider-Man 4 is the only buy. Yes, I met Ewing. He was a real, and I'm not kidding. Like it's funny because he went on a whole tangent about how Secret Wars 2 is the best thing that Marvel ever wrote, like ever put out. Secret Wars 2, not even the original Secret Wars. He's like, I want to bring it back. He's kind of out there. Hey, what's up, Kenny? How are you, man? I'd rather read Chuck Austin's X-Men than Clone Saga or Ben Reilly. Like, gross.
What? Is he a Valley girl or what? Like, gross.
Ghost Rider, yes. Love the early 90s Alpha Flight. Early 90s. Oh, wow. The Nicieza Lobdell era? That era?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been that. Peter, does New Zealand have a central AC, or are they like Britain where they just deal with the heat?
New Zealand is under the queer assumption that it does not get hot or cold here or rainy. So their houses up until a few years ago were built with no insulation, no central heat, and no air conditioning, which is kind of funny because it is a very wet, humid country. So to have houses with walls like Swiss cheese means you have to run, you have to have a heater and some sort of fan and also a dehumidifier. So it's very exciting place to have any kind of housing standard from a first world country such as the United States or Canada, because the housing standards are not the same in New Zealand.
Wow, that's interesting.
That. You learned so much from this stream, so much.
But can you trust it?
You can't trust what Peter says, so he's probably wrong. Gen X and X-Man Omnibus. I'm sure there will be a Gen X Omnibus. I just hope that they retouch the artwork, because the Epic collections with those scans are, well, it's that weird era where the colors just look muddled, and it's really difficult to scan those particular, because we were experimenting with these computer assisted colors at the time.
See, Peter, when you said you were lying on the floor, I just imagine you were like covered in single issues of Alpha Flight, in Sensate, and like, your family's going, "Oh God, he's on a bender again."
Yeah, it was like a pinup image. I was like this, and I was lying on top of all of my single issues.
Is it too early for a Donny Cates Thor omnibus? No, that is coming out. I think it's called Thor by Donny Cates and Nick Klein omnibus.
Yeah,
that's coming out.
When is that coming out? That I missed that because
I'll send you the link to the announcement video, Jess. So
I won't watch it.
You jerk. Thank you for this, James. Fabian Nicieza interview will be on January 8th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for that. Fabian has been really salty lately. He was saying comic book fans wanting the MCU to be like the comics are the problem with the MCU. Oh, boy. As someone who wants to get into X-Men, what omnibus would you recommend? Oh, you just picked the perfect panel to ask this question.
I even have answers on that.
I will agree with Fabian that I literally had to stop going to movies with a friend of mine who had this terrible habit of, with the Marvel movies, of like, he would look for little bits where they don't match the comics and scream aloud his disgust. into the movie theater. I'm like, I can't go to.
I'm sorry. We went to the movie theater.
Yeah, I
twice.
know, and that's how I stopped going to movies with Omar.
I didn't know you didn't like talking to the screen. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right. Show some restraint, man.
All right, we'll go top to bottom. Riley, what's the number one X-Men omnibus you would recommend?
Astonishing.
Okay, great recommendation.
For new readers.
What about you there, OmniDog?
Is this new readers or just in general?
He said new. He's new to X-Men.
No.
Yeah, he said new.
He says he wants to get into X-Men. What's the omnibus you would recommend for him to get into X-Men?
Okay.
I would recommend the one that got me into X-Men, and that is New X-Men by Grant Morrison.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Peter.
Astonishing.
Excellent choice. All right. Lars.
Probably X-Men Epic Collection Proteus is what I'd recommend. I think that's the best entry point.
He wants to know what omnibus.
I get that. Okay. I don't know how much X-Men I presume he's not read a lot of X-Men. Here's the thing, and I'm going to get booted off the channel for this. I would say before you commit to a an omnibus with a huge retail price, make sure you like it. Sample it.
Yeah, agreed.
Sample
Hard
it.
agree.
Okay. An Epic Collection's a pretty good choice. You know, Kindle, whatever you got to do.
An Epic Collection is still going to cost you around $40, Lars. That's not sampling.
It is, but then buy it, at a cheap Kindle sale or whatever, or rent it or get it from your library. Whatever you got to do, but do not commit to $150 omnibus before you know that you actually like the silly thing.
I agree. I usually, when people ask me that on like TikTok, I'll get a lot like this question. I want to get into this. What omnibus should I get? And I'm like, if you want to get into something, jumping into something that costs $100+ is not the way to get into it. You don't get into a hobby by jumping into the most expensive thing first. You have to know that you like that part of the hobby first.
Yeah.
Do you though?
Have you met people like Jess that have disposable income that's like, give me the most expensive and the best?
We've hung out, Riley. What's going on here?
But I see the same commenter as saying, I like to roll the dice on omnis, Lars. Oh, you like to live dangerously is what you do. Okay.
Yeah, so just recommend an omni.
You're like,
I would recommend, if you want to get into an omnibus, get Uncanny Volume 3. That's got my favorite
that's a good choice. Sure.
And And if you like it, if it's your cup of tea, then you'll go back and find a volume 1 and 2, and you'll buy 4 and 5 and the Prelude to the Massacre, and then curse me because both Prelude to the Massacre and volume 5 have the same content, but you have yet to find out. So I would go with Uncanny 3. It has God Loves Man Kills. It has From the Ashes. It has, it does have From the Ashes. It has some of the best stories in there. So that's when Chris Claremont really, really had control of these characters. Like, they became his babies.
Yeah, that's the best of Claremont's run, in my opinion.
I hope he comes back. And he was like, why didn't anybody recommend Chuck Austin's run? That werewolf story arc is a masterpiece compared to everything else that everybody on the panel recommended.
The Draco is Nightcrawler's true backstory.
I never knew that there were so many Draco truthers out there.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the new one, although it was complicated.
Dude, I don't know how many times I'm like, are people really using Chuck Austin's origin story for Nightcrawler as the origin of Night? That's how far we've come.
It's an odd thing to defend. Yeah.
Draco truthers. I totally want a t-shirt with that.
You have to start with Uncanny Volume 1. See, that's where I differ. I don't think you do, because it's a little bit of a slow burn. And on top of that, you're still dealing with that Bronze Age dialogue. And if you're new to comics and you go back to reading a Bronze Age book, it's not for everybody.
They also weren't written at that time in a way that every issue was written to be somewhat self-contained. Like, you could pick up, because it was newsstand stuff, and they're counting on the fact that not every reader is reading every single issue. So the mentality that people have now, completionism, and that you have to read from issue 1 forward, that didn't stand at that time. And that's why it's perfectly cromulent to jump in with volume 3.
Oh, yeah.
You wanted to get Jess's laugh on that one.
Yeah.
A total endorsement of all that. And also thinking about early Claremont on X-Men, I mean, this is our favorite topic. He doesn't have the voices down yet. Even in
Yeah.
Phoenix Saga, which is one of the greatest X-Men stories ever told, he doesn't have the voices down yet. He doesn't get the voices down yet until the 160s. So part of the fun is reading X-Men at some point where the characters are the characters, and then going back and reading Uncanny Volume 1, which is not to say you can't love it by starting with Uncanny Volume 1. Hundreds and thousands of people have done that. But I'm just saying that, like, Wolverine doesn't sound like Wolverine. Storm doesn't sound like Storm. None of them sound like themselves because he doesn't know yet.
I think I think Omar's strategy works. I think starting with John Byrne actually works because I think he's found the voices enough. I think he does, and the art is stunning. And you know that for me is the demarcation line of still a timeless comic from that era. Again, I was rereading some of the John Byrne stuff, and a friend saw it over my shoulder and was like, "God, that's gorgeous," you know. And I'm like, "Yeah, this was made in the late '70s."
I mean, there was a reason why. Oh my God, that team was so perfect.
Yeah.
But much like every other artistic team, you know, one person thinks they're better than the other and tries to take over a book completely. So this is an interesting comment. I took a comics class in college and Chuck Austen spoke at a lecture and talked about X-Men. Why didn't you go immediately and buy his X-Men?
People didn't.
He's a gentleman and a scholar. Chuck Austen, folks. When are you going to interview him, Omar? I apologize for all of the wrongs.
I would love to talk to Chuck Austen. I can handle that. People are like, man, it'd be an interesting conversation between you and Bendis. I'm like, I'm not gonna have Bendis on the show and be like, why do you suck so much? Why did you
no, I'll do that from the comments. You don't have to.
Yeah, you can go. Thanks, Peter. Gonna go and read Busiek, and you all have a great New Year's Eve and a great New Year's. Thank you for that, buddy. Good to see you too, man. And come on, no big words here.
Riley, you don't know big words. You haven't been reading your Claremont X-Men. That's a whole SAT verbal section right there.
Riley embiggens my soul.
At least start with a Dark Phoenix saga.
I wouldn't start.
Me and Nightcrawler and Destiny one shot.
You can though. You actually could.
But I mean, we all come from the background of you can start any comic from any issue, right? But now that we have collected editions, especially curated the way they are, you can actually suggest to people like, okay, this is this era. You like these type of comics, you can probably go and find this omnibus. So it is really fun to now suggest to people where to start reading things.
I think I did read the Dark Phoenix saga before a lot of it came before it, because at the time it was collected and the stuff before it wasn't. But that was when I was already kind of hooked on X-Men and, you know, willing to see where it went.
I cannot believe you gave Poom Poom to your child to read, Omar. Are you mental? I had thought about this. This is my kid is 14 years old, and for anybody that doesn't know Goodnight Poom Poom, I think Riley's the only other person here that has read it. Yeah. There are a lot of mature themes in there, and I don't mean mature like, you know, when people hear that. I don't mean berserk mature, right? Like, but there are some themes in there. Keep in mind, she's also 14. She's a freshman in high school, and I was thinking about the stuff I was reading at that time and seeing at that time, and I didn't have the internet.
Right.
So my kid is mature enough to read it. I think everybody's kid is different and they can read as long as you're aware. Because she asked me, she's like, my friends have been talking about Goodnight Poon Poon. Is it okay if I read it? And I had thought about it. It wasn't like an easy, like, yeah, go ahead, kid. Have at it. My library, your library. First of all, I was really proud of her for coming down here and asking me, because that's the kind of child
I agree with that.
That's what you want as a parent. Kids can deal with challenging stuff with your guidance.
Yeah, absolutely. And she knows, you know, not because like, oh, these are so precious, you're not allowed to touch my stuff. It's more of there are some things, especially with manga, that looks like a kid's story that have a lot of mature themes. Mm-hmm. So I did not have a problem. I talked to Melanie about it. I told her, you know, what was in the book, and she was like, yeah, I'm okay with that. You know, she's 14. She'll be fine.
Yeah, she's 14, not 4.
It's also the fact that, like, if her friends are already talking about it, if you say no, there is a chance that, like, she's going to wind up being exposed to it anyway. Mm-hmm. Better for her to be exposed to it by you giving it to her and having the conversation of, like, if there's something in here that you are, you know, if it's affecting you a little bit too much, you can come to your mom and dad and talk to us about it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if it was just her looking at something with her friends, she's not going to have that ability to come forthright to you guys. to talk about those subjects.
And I will say this, I feel like, anybody here on the panel, anybody that's watching this probably feels this way about your child, is you want to keep them as innocent as possible for as long as possible. That's always been my goal with my child. But I also realize, there's a whole world out there that isn't as innocent as I want to keep my child. So I'm okay with her asking me permission for things like that.
Well,
And
would you also agree that a parent's job is not necessarily to raise children? It's to, at the end of the day,
Yes.
raise functioning adults.
Yeah,
By the
absolutely.
time they're 18 or what have you.
Absolutely. And now, it's a little different because she's also grown up in this household where my wife and I love Berserk, right? So she knows of Berserk. She's seen memes, she's seen TikToks, but she knows not to ask me to, not yet, because that's a little too much out there. But that's why I let her to answer that question. Yeah. And on that note, let me stop.
That was all really good parenting advice, and especially from two people who don't have kids.
Right.
That was remarkable.
I remember what it was like to be a child.
Yeah, but did you really want to be a functioning adult? I never did.
I still don't.
What I'm about to say next is going to sound truly ridiculous, but it's true. You had to grow up fast on the farm. I mean, you just did. I grew up on a horse farm, and you had to grow up quickly. We didn't get a huge amount of childhood, and I don't. And for me personally, that was not a bad thing at all. I think other people in my family are like, oh, I didn't get a childhood. Well, okay. For me, it was fine. Which is why, like, some teenagers I meet today who, I wish to call them lazy, but they have motivation problems. I'm like, there was no option on the farm, Mm-hmm. there was no sleeping in on the farm. You had to get up at this time and do this thing, and that was it. So I don't know.
Never forget when Omar accidentally gave them Promised Neverland. But seriously, that's pretty good shit. I did. I gave her Promised Neverland when she was 4 years old because I thought it was a cute manga. And there's decapitation of children in it. And she comes up to me. She's like, I don't think I'm supposed to be reading this, Poppy. And I look at it. I'm like, God.
I personally, as far as I don't have kids, but I've done a lot in having part in raising nieces and nephews, number one. And number two, I think that knowing that my audience online consists of a lot of kids that are around that age, it's important to kind of understand how, all of that of which I said is an important factor of how to talk about mature series to lesser aged kids that are not of that at that age group yet. And also knowing the subject matter, like Goodnight Poon Poon is about a kid who's going through these things.
Yeah.
It's going through teenage years, high school years, and stuff like that in the story. And so I think that it's something that can apply to kids of that age, but you just want to go at it with tact and go at it with with parental supervision.
Well, and I guess I'll throw in my parenting chat to round it out. Not only are you raising somebody who's going to be a future functional adult, but specifically about comics, you're raising somebody who should have good media literacy. Yes. And there's a lot of adults in our lives that don't have good media literacy. And good media literacy is understanding the difference between a character doing something bad and an author advocating for something bad. Mm-hmm. Good media literacy is understanding that a story can be sad and depressing because conflict makes for good fiction, but it doesn't mean that your life needs to reflect the tragedy of the story. And I think that's why it's so important to get books of all kinds, comics, manga, which are comics, into kids' hands at every age, because that grows their media literacy. I mean, I've been reading Claremont X-Men. We talked about starting with Claremont, Giant Size and Uncanny X-Men 94. I started my kid on that when she was 5 years old. And we are now at, we just came to Age of Apocalypse and she's 10. And my kid has gotten a lot of media literacy by talking about the themes in X-Men, which a lot of people would think were maybe too heavy for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old. But I read them with her. So I think that, you know, knowing how Omar is and his parenting, I think it's amazing to have a kid come to him and say, hey, Pun, yes or no on that, Dad. And that's what I aspire to. And I think that's fantastic.
And I think your kid will do the exact same. I think, Elon, thank you for clarifying. But I wanted to take the time to talk about that, though. I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, giving my kid access to things like that, because every parent is different, not everybody. And that's why I try to be really careful when I talk about like my favorite hidden gems or my favorite books. And I know some people, because I've seen it in the comments, make fun of me when I talk about like, you know, this book has like animals being hurt or kids being hurt, and they can't stomach that because everybody comes from different worlds and people have been through a lot of things I may not understand. So I have to give all these little trigger warnings.
Well, I do worry, going off what Peter was saying, that I worry we're approaching a point that if anything bad happens to a character ever, a certain track of fandom will not let it go. We've certainly seen this in Doctor Who. And, you know, sometimes life is sad and sometimes bad things happen, and that's what gives a story meaning. But, they are very, very loud about it in their protests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you look at one of my kids' favorite, I mean, it's just one kid in the world who has a very unusual life that moved to New Zealand when she was 4. But, you know, what some of her favorite media is Miyazaki movies, which are almost all depressing and tragic in some angle. And she loves them. She likes them more than classic Disney. If I show her Totoro and then I show her Cinderella, she will rewatch Totoro. So, you know, kids can handle, I think this idea that we have to keep, I know you didn't mean it this way, Omar, but some people really mean that they want to keep their kids innocent and like completely unaware that like people die or cancer. You didn't mean it that way. You meant the innocence of youth in a broader sense. But some people really want their kids to be like unaware that horses go to the glue factory sometimes, Lars.
Well, no, you know,
on the farm, you had to take them to the glue factory.
I shouldn't. Well, not only that, no, sometimes we would set it out. So if a horse passed away, we would set it out in front of the barn to be collected by the glue factory people. And then, of course, the school bus would come up to pick me up. And there's an entire school bus of all my classmates looking at this quite dead horse out there. This was normal behavior on the farm. It just was. Yeah.
Wow.
Peter,
that's going to haunt me.
When you say
I'm no longer innocent, you've ended my age of innocence.
Totally. Wow.
So Peter,
traumatized.
You mentioned reading with your kid, and that's something I'm having to do now with Alicia, who's 12 years old. We started this at 11 with Silver Surfer by Stan Lee and John Buscema. And because the way Stan Lee was writing those stories, oh my gosh, those $10 words. So every once in a while she's asking me a question and I'm like, that's what this means. And I'm looking
I am not shy about whipping out. I never
like,
pretend that I know a word.
Words. I'm like,
comics.
What is Stan Lee trying to say?
Yeah. But what's great, if I can have one more parent comment, is if you read to them long enough, they will start being excited to read to you. And it is so cool to sit in her bedroom and hear her read her new favorite book to me with the glee that I read X-Men to her.
I love hearing that. Thank you, Bruce, for the super chat. I call it bend and don't break parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the super chat. Lars is so metal. Yeah, he is. He worked on a horseman.
He had to grow up fast on the farm. I mean, that's all I'll say. You know,
hearing your horse farm story reminded me of the Silence of the Lambs.
Well,
reminded me of the scene of Napoleon Dynamite.
The thing is, this is just the merest tip of the iceberg about my farm experiences. And the thing is, like, individually, they're not so bad. The more I unfurl them, it's just this litany of horror. So I don't know. We do what we can.
But by the way, I want to thank, I cannot remember, is it DV? I think he's one of them that puts the timestamps on these videos for the upcoming collected editions or solicitations. Thank you so much for that. Because towards the end of the video, we do always go on like a little tangent about whatever it is. I think I can't remember. What were we talking about last time? We were talking with Oddfell. We were learning things about texting. I think it was texting.
Yeah.
And like, I know she was teaching Jess and I things about texting and what it was. Like what things to say and stuff. I want to know
you're right.
Where Lars got those X-Men covers, those beautiful posters.
Yeah, I put in the feed there. Nerd Herd Printing on eBay, and there's also a website.
Do you have a coupon code?
I don't.
Like Lars Pearson.
I have no association with these people other than I bought some.
We need to get on that. We need to get on that, Lars.
Yeah, clearly.
I was young enough that I could still only read out loud reading Batman comic where Robin says, "Damn it, Alfred," and my mom, "What did you say?" And I'm just like, "Oh no." Oh man. But I do want to thank my wonderful panel for joining me today. It's always a blast whenever I'm joined by my friends, and I look forward to it every month. Riley, it's such a nice surprise to have you here, and you're always welcome back, my brother. So before we end, I do want to go round table so people can tell a little bit about themselves and where you can find them in case you're new and this is your first time here. So round table. Go ahead. Riley, where are you at, buddy?
The Omnibus Collector on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, and Omni Collector on Twitter, or X, as they like to call it now. Check out my channel for a lot of manga talk. My most recently uploaded video, I discussed the announcement of Dark Horse's newest manga to hit their deluxe hardcover line, something that I've wanted for a long time, which of course is the Gotanabe adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's Mountains of Madness. So I have a video about that, and I will be soon doing my favorite releases of 2023, and then my upcoming most anticipated releases of 2024. There we go. Adorable Omnidog.
Thank you. You can find me, Omnidog, on YouTube, Omnidog's Vault, Omnidogs_Vault on Instagram, and Omnidog's Discord, which I am sure James will be at. There it is, at the last comment. Thank you, buddy. We have a lot of fun in there, and thank you for having me. This was great as always.
And my buddy Peter, all the way from New Zealand.
I am Crisis with a K, just about everywhere that counts on the internet. My home on the internet is crushingcrisis.com, crushing with a C, crisis with a K, where I have guides to the reading order and ability to collect the vast majority of the Marvel Universe and a good bit of DC and indie comics too. And otherwise, I can be found here because I emerge from my crypt only to say things on this channel about comic books because it's a positive place to talk about comics, even if you have negative things to say about them.
Nice way of putting it.
Oh,
and the Norwegian assassin. Who are you, man?
Yes, again, Lars Pearson, publisher and editor-in-chief of Man Norweigian Press. And we usually do stuff on, usually not always do stuff on Doctor Who. And we are continuing our, I co-write a history, which is the, I think I'm safe saying definitive Doctor Who timeline. I co-write that with Lance Parkin. And we also have our About Time series. We will be doing more of both of those, but we're not ready to make formal announcements yet. Oh, there is on Kindle, if anyone's interested in a history 2018 update. We're trying some, ebooks to give people a chance to buy them digitally before we unleash the enormous print versions.
All right. And I'm the Uncanny Omar. Wait, somebody said something. Go ahead.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Can I just say that O'Reilly and I are also on Omnibros Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights.
You guys suck so much at plugging your own show.
I'll be on there tonight with our friend Gio, who is constantly hoping and dreaming and begging for an Inhumans omnibus.
One day. Oh my God. If I ever get to announce it, I would have to have him. I'd fly him from Puerto Rico to sit in my chair and just get his reaction.
Oh, that'd be great.
And his reaction would be like, "Those not the stories I wanted." Which is just my luck. So yes, that is Omnibros Live. They're on every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I am the Uncanny Omar. I'm here every day because I'm crazy like that. Tomorrow will be my upcoming collected editions for the month of January. But if you're on Patreon, you get an early access to that. Everybody stay safe out there. I'll be back on my Saturday live stream, so I'll say my piece then. But yeah, if you're traveling anywhere for holidays or New Year's, be careful out there. Check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com. They're here in America. Tell them Near Mint Condition sent you their way for free shipping on your next order after your first one. And big thank you to Marvel and David Gabriel for putting this solicitations together for us. That's it, everyone. Until the next time, maybe bring back we just did a Map My Avengers today. I don't know how in the world Jess is doing those special effects. but I'm sure they're not going to go away. Thank you, Reaper XC. Please smash that like button on the way out. Stay healthy and
That's
safe.
how happy
everyone.
I am.
You are so happy to be in my presence.
Totally.